Introducing first, speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert, that's Stephen Jensen, and shout out as always to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. Hopefully he's enjoying his personal pan pizza that I think he got last night, but you know, he got a bunch of them, so maybe he's still enjoying it tonight and enjoying the wrestling. There was a lot of wrestling to enjoy this past weekend, as I don't think it has stopped. Pretty sure, has not stopped. The wrestling has been nonstop since forever, basically, but certainly this past weekend it did not slow down. Jensen, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Had a first good week with that massage chair I was talking about last week, so that's been going very well for me. And yeah, outside of that, just I'm looking forward to today's episode because we do have a lot of wrestling to talk about. It was a good weekend, though. It was a good weekend of wrestling. We had some indie shows. People want my thoughts on all the indie stuff. Fightful Select Weekender podcast. That's over on FightfulSelect.com. But yeah, and we should be having QT Marshall on the show later today as well, live. If anything changes, we'll keep y'all updated on that. But we're hoping to have him live. So looking forward to it should be a pretty stacked show. And I've got a lot of thoughts on some of this stuff, like especially when we get to Goldberg. I don't know what we're going to lead with and stuff, but I've got a lot of thoughts and opinions on a lot of the things that happened over the weekend, both good and bad, mostly good, but some bad.
I mean, we can get right into it here. There's certainly no shortage of things to talk about. I'm very interested in your thoughts on Goldberg. Very interested. We're not going to start there. I mean, it feels like, you know, the biggest show of the weekend was not Goldberg's retirement match. So it feels like we should not start there. But yeah, we can amazingly jump right into wrestling. If you are here, leave a thumbs up on the video. That helps us out. Subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. Check out all the shorts. My short on Cope is at 18,000 views, which is absurd. Leave a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on air.
What about Cope? What was it?
Oh, I said he was right. This was before the promo he did last night. This was on Monday's show. I said he was right for taking his sweet time to get to the ring. He didn't care about Christian. He just wanted to... And then he did that exact same promo. So I was right in defending Cope. And then he clearly saw that short because, I mean, it's got 18,000 views. So He must be one of them. And he was like, that's a good point. I'm just going to steal this bar for my promo. Oh,
there you go. Unrelated to wrestling, but kind of related to our show, I'll just throw this out there for anyone who has been keeping up with the Creator Clash drama. That me and Jeremy, you know, we were big supporters of the events. The first one especially, and I just want to give a shout out to Dad Nathan Barnett. That guy's awesome. That guy rules still. I've actually been following along. He's doing like a week-long live stream on YouTube right now also. So support that guy. The reason I'm bringing this up, Creator Clash 3 has been completely canceled at this point, and it was a complete dumpster fire of an attempt at an event. I've never seen anything go this catastrophic ever in the history of me ever covering any kind of combat sports. So that's a completely whole other conversation in itself, but it is kind of within the canon of the Spotlight, you know, because we did do the interviews with Dad, John Morrison, so on and so forth. So RIP to Creator Clash. It was fun while it lasted. So
there you go. Creator Clash update. Let's get into
talk wrestling.
Let's get into the wrestling.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
AEW All In, their biggest show of the year this past Saturday at Globe Life Field from Arlington, Texas, headlined by Hangman Page winning the AEW World title against Jon Moxley in a Texas death match, a match that featured run-ins from the Death Riders, as expected, Will Ospreay, who got his neck cracked pillmanized on a steel chair, Bryan Danielson in a Blue Panther mask, Darby Allin from the top of Mount Everest and then the top of the stadium, and Swerve Strickland coming out as well. Jensen, what did you make of the match overall and Hangman becoming the world effing champion?
So the only thing about this that I would like to see that we didn't was it would have been cool to see Sting. Like,
no,
I know
why do people say that?
We say that. I said it before. I said it last week too.
But it doesn't make sense.
Because I want the action figure, Jeremy. I'm selfish because if he shows up with the old man Sting look, then Jeremy Padawer is going to be forced to have to make that into an action figure.
He did.
Trying to make that happen.
He did an interview with Cardona and Myers, and he had the full beard, and I feel like the action figure can be made without him actually showing up on TV. Okay. If he showed up in this, it would have made about as much sense as The Undertaker showing up at Mania 40.
No. That's a whole... Okay, that's... We don't have to go down that rabbit hole again. Okay. So, shout out Undertaker. But it didn't take away from the match at all that Sting wasn't there, by the way. It didn't at all. That was the only thing, like, I was like, I wanted to see old man Sting out there in AEW again, just because I love Sting, and I know you do too. Like, you wouldn't have been mad. You wouldn't have been mad if he was involved. Come on,
I wouldn't have been mad, but it would have just been. It would have felt very unnecessary. Every run-in they did made sense for the story. Sting being there would have just been, let's have Sting because we have Sting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm talking something small, like as small as like he points up to Darby or something, and that's when Darby comes down. I mean, just like, I'm not talking about Sting having to, it doesn't matter. Forget I even brought up Sting. Love Sting, though. One of my favorites of all time. But I, like you said, and I said this last week as well, I thought that this was going to be very similar in certain ways, the way this was going to be booked, especially towards the end. I thought it was going to be similar to WrestleMania 40 with people throughout the story all coming in one by one, kind of fighting off the Death Riders and ultimately helping out Hangman. And after Collision, when Hangman left his chain with Swerve, that's when it really solidified in my mind. I was like, that's going to be the decider. Is going to be Swerve's going to be the last person to help, I think. And that's what we got, which is, I've said it 1,000 times, you know, in wrestling, the predictable thing, sometimes you just do that. Like, you don't need to like swerve me just to swerve me. Oh, I don't even mean, we're talking about Swerve Strickland. I didn't even mean it like that, but y'all know what I mean. Yeah, you don't need to do anything other than just play out the story that totally makes sense. And yeah, I liked all the returns. I thought that was all great. It's very funny that Danielson's so much just in his Blue Panther arc right now. Like, that's like the main thing is like he's trying to continue to prove to Blue Panther like his favorite wrestler how cool he is, which I think is very cool. But as far as the actual match itself, it was obviously brutal. It's really jarring, especially that first like the fork shots to the dome when Moxley is on top of Hangman and he's just hitting him from underneath and like busts open Moxley. You know, but you knew going into this match, like that's what to expect, especially if anyone is familiar in any way, shape, or form with any of the Texas death matches that AEW has done in the past. Also knowing they've done the death match with Nick Gage and Chris Jericho, which is very underrated and slept on in like the history of AEW. No one seems to like ever bring that up. I still think that's unreal that ever happened. And the lengths that these guys will go, especially someone like Moxley, someone like Swerve, someone like Hangman, to go over the top to like really leave an impression in matches like this. And Jon Moxley, of course, has his own death match history in its own right. Like you knew that it was going to be something like this. And I thought it totally, they knocked it out of the park. Like I had no issue with any of this. I really liked how Swerve played the final like he was the final help to Hangman, and like that chain is actually what won him the match. Like it all totally made sense with him putting the chain over around Moxley's neck over the top rope, and the way that Moxley sold that at the end of the match was great too. Like he was struggling struggling for his life and was forced to tap out. So yeah, I thought it was done really, really, really well, and I've been saying it for quite a while now on this show that Hangman was the right choice at this point to be this guy and to win this championship. This was the right place, right time, right show. I think the Death Riders, obviously the story's still kind of going, like they're still together as of, Dynamite, but that whole story that got us to Hangman, the payoff I think was worth it, but there was it could have been a lot better along the way, but at least we did get the really good payoff with Hangman finally winning the title.
I thought it was the best match of the year. It's my match of the year thus far. It's going to be tough to top because I don't know if there's going to be a story good enough that gets me invested to this level. And I don't know if the work is going to be good enough that gets me to this level. We shall see if that happens. But yeah, it's my match of the year. They did everything they needed to do in this match. They didn't overcomplicate it. Hangman won as he should have. Thought the finish made a lot of sense, especially that's how he beat him the first time. And then this time Moxley was not quite as valiant as fighting it off. He sold it very well. I love the run-ins. I love that they didn't do music for the run-ins because sometimes that can, it worked in WWE. It worked when WWE did it at WrestleMania 40. They got the pop for the music and everything. It worked then. For AEW, I don't think it would have worked quite as well. And the way they did it was just better. Not better in a sense, better than WWE. Better without the music is what I'm trying to say. It was better without the music because the Danielson run-in doesn't work if you play the music beforehand when he sneaks into the ring. Darby coming down, it was cooler that he just came down and there wasn't music playing. I think the only one that would have worked with the music would have been Swerve. But I like that there was still no music because it was just here's a man that's coming out to help himself, help AEW, help Hangman Page, whatever it might be. But he doesn't need, let's play the music and get the Who's House, Swerve's House pop. And that would have been a gigantic pop if they did it. But I like that they didn't do any of that. I thought it worked better without that. Yeah,
and it also, not that they necessarily would have done it, but you were just talking about the Coke thing where, and Jeff Hardy did the same thing, coming down to the ring when he debuted in AEW, it almost gives them, they just need to get straight to helping the situation. They don't need to be doing the whole. By the way, I saw something about, did the WWE actually recently tell Danielson to stop doing the yes chant? I saw something about that.
So Danielson did a live podcast at Starcast, and somebody tweeted that he got stopped to that WWE told him to stop doing it. The context made it seem like this was a recent thing. I don't know that for sure because I haven't heard this podcast. I don't know. Danielson's talked about it in the past where they've told him to stop and they've told him to it was a battle over the trademark and everything, but you can't really prevent him from doing it as a taunt. You could stop him from selling merchandise and things like that, but as a taunt, you can't trademark that. So
you can't stop the fans from doing it, obviously. Right. So
I think it was, again, I'd like to listen to the full thing to get the full context myself. Danielson loves to lie. Cody Rhodes taught him how to lie. He could have been exaggerating kind of the timeline of things here, but he has talked about it in the past of they did kind of send a legal letter with the trademark that I couldn't do the trademark and everything. I mean, Danielson has talked about he didn't want to do it initially and then it became a thing and then he's right. Well, screw it, I'm just gonna do it because clearly the crowd still loves it. Why should I take that away from them?
There you go. Yeah, that just made me think about that with if his music hit versus him just coming out how he did. I agree with you about all that stuff. And I don't even want to compare the two moments, honestly. I think that Cody winning at WrestleMania 40 and Hangman winning at All In are both all-time great moments. Like they really are. Obviously, AEW's history is a much shorter. There's less of like a pool to choose from. But if you're talking about even just like the last 6 years or whatever of both companies, those are probably the top 2 moments. Like as far as you can debate that, obviously, but I also really like that for Hangman, and he's talked about this too, that he like this means so much to him because he didn't know if he'd be able to get back into this spot. Did he peak as the 4th AEW World Champion with the story with Omega and all this stuff, and like in his own mind, like did he peak at that point, and like where was left to go, and like this whole story of his redemption and being the one to take down Moxley, I think just worked out so great. And we'll talk about it more, but they have so much that they can build off coming out of that show too, because of the history Hangman has with Ospreay, Swerve, and MJF. That like right there alone, you have like a year's worth of feuds if you wanted to. I mean, like they've set themselves up really, really, really well heading into the pay-per-view, and then coming out of it. I think AEW is like, this is maybe the best position the company has been in, like since they were like really hot like during the pandemic. I honestly think they're like putting on this is all really, really good stuff. And also you have Darby like mixed into this too. Like Hangman's got history with all of these guys because he's a day one AEW guy. So like, yeah, I think AEW's put themselves in a great position, and Hangman's the right guy right now to be, the champion for sure.
Yeah. Anything else from the match?
From the actual match itself, I mean, I can't really do it justice talking about like what we saw and what they did to each other, but it was, I mean, I don't think that they went like, you can debate certain stuff obviously, but I don't think they went like farther than I expected them to violence wise, if that makes sense. Like we didn't see anybody getting a syringe through their cheek or something like that,
Right.
And like the spikes this time seemed a bit more controlled. Like the last time we saw something like that, Moxley had those things in his back, couldn't get him out. That was disgusting. But this, yeah, I thought it was a great match too. Like it might have been the best match of the year for AEW, and maybe I honestly I don't know if I can think of anything else that was better than this in either company maybe all year. So yeah, really good stuff.
John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, unfortunately that didn't unfortunately that didn't live on. I mean, we're going to get a rematch here soon, so hopefully they do better in the redo.
Elsewhere on the card, Swerve and Ospreay defeated the Young Bucks, and now the Young Bucks are just broke. They're not only not EVPs anymore, they are just flat out broke. They can't get a limo. They got to take an Uber. They got stick figures and paint as their Titantron. They lost their names, part of their names. They're just the broke Bucks now.
Yeah.
What did you make of this match and the fallout on Dynamite that happened?
Sorry, I'm texting QT. Give me just 1 second.
Okay. All right. Hopefully everything is good.
Yeah. He just asked how long we had for when he comes on. So I'll tell him we'll bring him on live at 7:30.
Is he asking like how long we were going to keep him for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know how busy he is at the moment, so he just asked. But anyway, no, we're good. So I just texted him back. So if that's why I'm distracted. I'm just making sure that he knows when to come on and that he got the link and everything. So
okay.
He just texted me back. Sorry, I'm doing live booking. He said, okay. I told him it's 7. Yeah, he's good for 7:30. We'll bring him on live 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Young Bucks. I thought that was. There's like a deeper conversation that has to be had when it comes to the Young Bucks too, and I don't know if we have the time to like really, really deep dive into all that, because like, okay, I like what we saw yesterday, but I don't know how long you can like do what we saw yesterday, if that makes sense. Like how many times you can just kind of like rib them over and over again before it like gets lame, or they become baby faces again, or like something. Like I guess something's gotta. Like I don't know how long you can do that for. I think it's funny initially, but like I'm also at that point too where I'm like, what is left for the Young Bucks to do in AEW, like in general? Like they can obviously have great matches with every team. I still think they're arguably the best in-ring tag team in the world. Like I think the Young Bucks are incredible. They're one of our generation. They might be the best tag team of our generation, any company. Like I've got a ton of respect for them, but at the same time, I'm also like, how much longer are they in AEW for? And if they're there long term, if they're going to keep being there, they got to figure out what maybe they already have, but I don't know what's next for them, because obviously like they're not going to just be like Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, now Matt and Nick with like the funny Tron and no music for very long. Like they're going to have to like evolve that into something. So I don't know what that looks like, but it's funny. It's funny for the time being. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. And it's interesting because we all know that they're EVPs in the company, but they're not on screen anymore. And how does that actually,
I don't know, like what that means to be an EVP in the company though.
Right. Either do I, like, because at first, like when AEW started, it was like, it felt like Cody, Omega, and the Bucks were like really helping like in various, and they still might be, obviously. I mean, we're not backstage in AEW, and that's, but like, it really felt like, I'm not going to put all this on Cody, obviously, but it felt like, when they would show AEW backstage, like Cody would be like a gorilla position, and like, he was very hands-on with the talent. You could see people that he was really hands-on with that were getting better, people like Jade Cargill and Ricky Starks and stuff like that. And then you had like the Young Bucks and Omega. It just felt like they were, I know Tony Khan's always been the man there, the final say and all that stuff, but like because Kenny Omega even said like not too long within like the last year or so, I'm pretty sure I remember doing an interview where he said he either wasn't an EVP anymore or like didn't want to be an EVP anymore, or like just like he wasn't good at it. Like he was like, it was something he did, but like he really, it wasn't for him.
Yeah, he's mentioned that he has said that he's not an EVP anymore, and people are like, huh, what? And they weren't sure if that was storyline or what it is, but Omega has openly talked about how the EVP thing just wasn't necessarily for him. He just like showing up, what match am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, cool. And then that's it. He didn't seem to like the other portion of that. And with the Bucks, I don't know like how much power it actually means that they have. It doesn't seem like they're involved in like creative or anything at this point. Tony has very explicitly said that he makes all the final decisions when it comes to that. So I don't know what it entails backstage. So even if, they're not EVPs on screen, I kind of feel like their on-screen role was the most EVP thing they were doing, because I don't know how much they were doing backstage. I mean, Kenny was out all last year with health problems, so I'm sure that wasn't at the forefront of his mind. The Bucks took 6 months off from AEW. I don't know what, they weren't at the shows, so I just don't know what that really entails.
Right. And ironically, like the secret EVP was CM Punk, like who like was like, I can't say he was running Collision, but he was like, he kind of was, you know what I mean? Which is like, so obviously all these people had like varying levels of power and influence and whatever in the process. And I don't know. I don't know what that looks like now, and what the need. I don't know what the need for EVP, like wrestler EVPs, would even be at this point for AEW and Tony Khan. Like I think it was probably necessary when the company started, because Tony was a lifelong wrestling fan, but like, and had the resources, the money to do this, obviously, and the connections to get it on Turner and all that stuff. But like, I think he massively benefited, at least in the beginning, of having those wrestlers as EVPs, if not for the decision-making process and creative and whatnot, for like the connections they had with other wrestlers to like build the roster and that kind of stuff too. And getting the trust. I mean, because, there's a lot of wrestlers, like Chris Jericho included, there's a lot of wrestlers, or John Moxley, I'm sure. A lot of these wrestlers probably would not have joined this company if someone like Cody hadn't called, or the Bucks hadn't gotten involved, or like Omega, or like when Jericho got in, then he's calling other people saying, this is legitimate. Like, you should give this place a chance if you're on the fence and stuff like that. So like he really and by the way, I don't know if Jericho ever had an official EVP title, but he, I think, has had EVP type powers in the company, probably to some degree. Like I'm sure you can tell by all his storylines and stuff that he's been involved with. Obviously, he's had a lot of say in how his storylines have played out and all that stuff over the years, which I have no problem with, by the way. But it's an interesting question. I haven't really thought about that too much, but I don't know because the other side of it too is like the Young Bucks, I think initially were like really involved in like the merchandise side, but their merchandise was like flopping, and they changed that at some point, like away from the Young Bucks. And I think Matt's wife was like in charge of it and isn't anymore. So like, I really don't know. And that was another thing too, by the way. The Young Bucks used to be like really, really active and popular on like social media and stuff. They were very, like, if there was like a meme, they were on top of it. Like, they were very involved with like the wrestling community pre AEW. And then over time, kind of like, I'm not going to say like you people can do whatever they want. I rarely use social media myself anymore. Like, I totally get not wanting to, but it doesn't seem like they have that same kind of connection with the fans in the wrestling community either that they used to, like, 6 years ago or whatever. So like, I don't know, outside of them being like really great in-ring wrestlers, I don't know what else they really bring to the table, like business wise or like behind the scenes to AEW that would like tie them there beyond their wrestling contracts or whatever. You know what I mean? This is all to say, by the way, that like, I think it'd be really cool if the Young Bucks showed up in WWE at some point before they left, before they hung it up, just to do it, just to see them and CM Punk on screen together, but it'd be in the other company. That'd be crazy.
I mean, I know Scott D'Amore kind of wrote about that.
Yeah,
it's been.
I like Scott.
I just don't see it. I really just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. You never say never, but I mean, I think the odds would be more likely that they're going to be lifers with AEW and they'll continue to. I don't have a problem with that either, by the way. I just don't know what it looks like for them going forward after this gimmick change. So
I think they continue to get ribbed with this, and they align with the Don Callis family for the time being. At some point, that fractures, and they're baby faces again.
Yeah.
They're going to continue wrestling great matches, and the crowd's going to get behind them, and they're going to continue to get frustrated with the ribbing and everything. And I think it's going to be a thing of, we're still the best effing tag team in the world, and we prove it every single night. And then the crowd's going to start to like get behind all of that. It's going to turn them babyface. Eventually, all of this will turn them babyface.
Yeah. Well, I'm fine with that, by the way. Like, I'm totally willing to see it play out for them, because I can't stress it enough. Like, incredible in-ring tag team. So, and I've always liked them. Like, BT, that was another thing too that I didn't mention. BTE, that was a big part of like the early success and like the connection with the fans. Like, they haven't had that either in years. So like, I think they need to do something. And to your point, with them eventually becoming baby faces, if they can connect more with the fans again too, I just think that'd be really beneficial. So
yeah. We'll see what it is moving forward, but I think this will continue for a bit before they eventually just come back to babyface. Like, they still have stuff with Omega that's kind of unfinished. I think we'll get Bucks against Omega and Ibushi at some point. Don Callis' line of like, Kenny's dead, was hilarious. I guess we're just never going to see Kenny Omega again, but I imagine we'll get Kenny Omega back and feuding with the Bucks, with Ibushi. They'll do that match. They still got some unfinished business with Hangman. They can still align themselves in some ways with the Death Riders, because that was a thing leading into the pay-per-view. I don't think that should just be completely forgotten about. So there's still stuff for them to do as heels before they finally go back to babyface and realize, okay, we own up to what we did. We were jerks. Let's move forward, and let's continue to be the greatest tag team in AEW.
I forgot to mention the match itself was awesome. It was
my second favorite match of the night.
It was that, and then the women's title match.
Yeah,
this tag team match ruled with the Young Bucks and Swerve and Ospreay. And I was totally wrong with my predictions. Like I was really convinced that the Young Bucks were going to win, and it was going to all build to Ospreay getting his first chance in next year at All In Wembley and stuff like that. Which it still can. It can still play out exactly that way. Just he doesn't have to be banned for the next year. He is obviously going with some sort of injury storyline right now. With getting Pillmanized, as you mentioned earlier, him and Samoa Joe. One other thing, the only other thing I'm going to mention, this is me. I hate that I even bring this up. I'm not into the Assassin's Creed thing at all with Will Ospreay's entrances and stuff. Like, I just think it comes off as corny when he's like bowing to these guys and they're trying to do like ninja moves on the stage and stuff. And it's like, not for me. Like, it's kind of goofy, but outside of that, everything else about this was totally awesome. And Swerve and Ospreay are a great team together. I don't want to see them like going on like a tag team run or anything because I think they're too valuable as like singles stars. But whenever they want to team up, like I'm down to watch that after seeing what these guys can do together, obviously.
What else from All In? I mean, it was a long show.
Yeah.
It was an 8-hour show total, but a couple of quick hitters here.
Longest show in like wrestling history, I think I saw.
Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations to AEW on that. I enjoyed it, by the way. I like that it was in the afternoon and like.
I've always said I don't care how long your show is. You want to do an 8-hour show, fine. Start at a decent hour. This started at 1 o'clock with the 0 hour. It was over by 9. Was it a long show? Absolutely. But if it's still over by 9, granted, I had a press conference to cover, but even that was over by just after 11. Fine. Do your 8-hour shows if you start it at a decent hour. Don't start this show if it started at 5 and went at 8 hours, I would have probably been a little bit more angry about things.
Yeah, that's very fair. Quick hitters, just for other stuff on the show. I like seeing FTR get the win over the Outrunners on the pre-show because I like that they're going towards Edge and Christian versus FTR. It was good seeing Cope, return and everything. I like seeing MJF win the men's casino gauntlet match. I think that makes a lot of sense for him to be in the world title picture. He's got history with Hangman since the beginning of AEW. I'm totally fine with that. And I like the promo that he cut with the Hurt Business last night, basically setting up. And I like that he's saying he's using the essentially the Money in the Bank contract as backup. Like, he's going to call his shot. He wants a one-on-one match. He wants to straight up win the title. But if that doesn't happen, he's got a second chance in that contract. I like that. Shout out to Dustin Rhodes. Completely unexpected that he would win the TNT Championship on this show. Didn't even know he was going to be in the match pretty much until the time it happened. I don't want to forget, we're earmarked that, but I do want to ask QT about his thoughts on seeing that happen. I just think that was a really cool moment for Dustin and for AEW. So that was cool and unexpected. Loved seeing Athena win the women's casino gauntlet. You called that. That was a great call. I think it was the right call as far as like who should have won. And I like that they're setting up Athena versus Toni Storm. Speaking of Toni Storm, her Mercedes Moné had one of the best women's matches in the history of the company, in my opinion. Had it not been for the incredible main event and tag team match, this would have been the best match on most shows throughout the rest of the year, especially on a weekend where there was such great women's wrestling with Evolution also happening. This was right there in the mix with top women's match of the weekend. So, really good stuff from both of them. And I think that Tony winning was the right call there as well. I was surprised to see Okada beat Omega, but I'm not mad about it. I thought that could have gone either way because you could have done things going out of it either way. But I thought the match was good. It wasn't their best match against one another. It's probably their worst, actually, but it was still a solid 30-minute match, which on any other show would have been a lot more spectacular had those other matches I just mentioned not happened. So I think that covers pretty much everything else that was big on the show that from All In. Great show from AEW. Really thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. Even if it was long, it didn't drag for me. I liked the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. It really kind of flew by, honestly.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Adam Cole, of course. Adam Cole, it sucks to see, obviously, that he's out, and it sounds like probably concussion. And I know he's dealt with various serious injuries, especially over the last like 3 years or so, between like concussions, the ankle injury, and that kind of stuff. And his health is what matters most. Hope that he does whatever's, whatever he's comfortable with. And I can only imagine like how bad it actually had to have been for him to go to Tony Khan like the morning of the pay-per-view and be like, I really don't feel good. Like, you know what I mean? Like most wrestlers, I shouldn't say most wrestlers, but a lot of wrestlers probably would have just been like, screw it. This is the biggest show of the year. I'm doing it no matter what. But it must have been really something, for Adam Cole to have to bow out of the biggest show. Like I feel terrible for him and his luck over the last few years, but whether he ever wrestles again or not, the most important thing is like he's known as like a good human being in the wrestling community. Like everyone has nothing but great things to say about Adam Cole. So whether he wrestles or not going forward, if he wants to be involved in wrestling, I know any company would want him to be involved. So like, just sucks to see, but I hope he gets better soon.
Yeah. That was tough when Tony announced that on Saturday, just before the show. And, we learned that he was going to be out, and then we learned a little bit more. And when he mentioned the word retirement during his speech, I was like, oh, that's not good that this is happening. So best wishes to Adam Cole, who genuinely by all accounts, one of the nicest people in all of wrestling. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Adam Cole is like one of the best people in the world. When CM Punk in the middle of the All Out press conference is like, I hate this person, I hate this person, I hate this person, and is like, Adam Cole is a sweetheart, I hope he gets better, best wishes to him, and I also hate this person and this person and this person.
It's the classic half-baked line.
Yeah.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm not, yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, even you got CM Punk cutting the promo, one of the biggest promos of his life, and it was happening in real life, and he was burying the people around him, but had nothing but nice things to say about Adam Cole. So that does say something about the man for sure.
All right. Do you want to get into Goldberg here with the WWE spotlight? Or you're gonna have a lot to say about Goldberg?
I'm gonna have a lot to say, but I mean, if we need to come back to it, like if it takes longer, then we'll see when QT pops in.
All right.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
Goldberg had his retirement match on Saturday against Gunther. He lost, got choked out, and then he spoke for about 28 seconds before the feed cut off on NBC and Peacock. You can watch the full speech online, though. And in 2 weeks, Goldberg will say a whole lot more about things. But for now, he has said that he's not been happy with how kind of things went down with this. He didn't like getting cut off. He said he asked for a few things that maybe didn't happen. He didn't like that there was only 3 weeks of the build when they knew about it in November. I mean, they announced this match in November. They set it up in October of last year. But
I was there.
Yeah, they didn't fully commit to it until the final 3 weeks there. He praised Gunther. He apologized for laughing at his chop because he expected it to hurt more. And he cracked Charles Robinson's rib. What are your thoughts on all of this, Jensen?
So this is like a super layered conversation that honestly, like I just said, it may start now and it may finish after our interview, depending on how long this takes and any follow-ups you may have. Because I want your thoughts on this too, even though I think I've probably got an idea based on how you just sounded and just knowing you in general. All right. Oh, so there's positive.
You might be surprised, but go ahead.
Oh, well, so I'll say this, and this might be surprising, and maybe you agree, and that would be kind of surprising, I think. I thought the actual match was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So we can get that out of the way. Goldberg apparently hasn't had a singles match that long since like 2002. So like, I got to give him credit for that. I mean, the man looked like he was hurt before the match started. Like the way he walks, it looks like he's in pain. And, to see Doug Dillinger knock on that door, I'm not going to say that I didn't mark out for that because I talked about it last week. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but Goldberg was a massive hero of mine as a kid growing up, especially in Atlanta, being Jewish, all that stuff. So like, I have no reason to trash talk Bill Goldberg in any way, shape, or form. Like I can disagree with some of the ways he's been booked over the years recently and stuff like that, but I've always been a Goldberg fan at the end of the day. And to see Doug Dillinger knock on that door was very cool. To see the War Master Josh Barnett as a part of the entourage was kind of random, but kind of cool too. But to see Ernest the Cat Miller, our boy, spotlight, friend of the show, Ernest the Cat Miller, making that walk was very, very cool. My brother's gotten to know him pretty well. They see each other all the time. And apparently the Cat was very happy being able to be a part of that. And I was very happy for him. A little behind the curtains. And this isn't like a report or anything like that. I apparently, if like the WWE wasn't going to do something like this for Goldberg, like if he was like dead set on having another match, apparently him and the Cat were like talking about trying to do maybe something even independently together. I don't know if they're going to wrestle each other or what, but like that's how close these guys are. People might not know, like these guys are like really good friends. They train together in Atlanta all the time. Like, so if anyone's like the Cat, that was kind of random. It's like, no, those guys are like really, really good friends. And the Cat really helped him massively, especially early on in his WCW run. I thought it was cool that we still got, you mentioned Charles Robinson, one more casualty on the way out. Nice spear there to Charles. That guy's I love Charles Robinson. That guy's the man. I think I heard Sam Roberts talking about how they should start advertising when Charles Robinson's going to be the referee, so you can like get yourself like prepared for like a nasty bump. Like start marketing the ref. But yeah, it was good. And then like he got him up for the jackhammer, it went in. And also, I don't know about the Rollins injury, like if it's legitimate or not, or all that stuff. We can talk about that as well after the interview. But like, even because my initial thoughts as I was watching it live was Seth Rollins is hurt. This match was probably not supposed to go more than like 5 minutes long. And now they went longer because of that. That was like my line of thinking. Then I was like, they actually really pulled it off. A lot of credit to Gunther for that, obviously, as well. And they had a pretty darn good match. Like it went about as good as it probably possibly could have until Goldberg ran out of time, like 30 seconds into his retirement speech. And that's where all this starts to like really go south in the conversation. We can't forget Bill Goldberg was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in like 2018. And like he got a whole retirement speech on that night. He had his night. He's come back multiple times. Like came back after like 9 years. Murked Brock Lesnar. And this after Brock had beat Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania. He was Suplex City to John Cena. Like Brock Lesnar was untouchable at this time. Goldberg beats him like a minute 30. Goldberg beats Kevin Owens in like 30 seconds to win the Universal Championship. Goldberg has what should have been the retirement match of a lifetime. Him and Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 33. I was in the house there in Orlando. That should have been it. He also addressed the live crowd the next night on, I think after Raw. I don't know if it aired. But this man, like he had his moments, he had his send-offs multiple times. And then like he just kept coming back. It was like Heisenberg, like for Breaking Bad. By the end of the show, Todd's like, you shouldn't have come back, Mr. White. It's like you got out and like you shouldn't have come back because now you're not gonna like what happened now that you're back. He comes back and it's like the Undertaker fiasco, the Ziggler match that I can't remember. The Braun Strowman
the Ziggler match was great. He just speared him a bunch of times.
Yeah,
that was fine.
But I'm just saying, like, it was so random. Good for Dolph to get like in this mix with the people I'm even talking about, because it's like he murks the Fiend and wins the championship from him at some point. I don't remember the Braun Strowman match like at all. The Drew McIntyre match or the Bobby Lashley match was hardly at all, except for they had like a no holds barred match or something that was pretty.
Yeah, that was a good match.
But my point is like he's been back like 10 times since when I thought like it should have been the end, and like the Roman Reigns match I barely remember. Like because these were like really short matches that went the span of like 30 seconds to like 5 minutes total. And they were just sprints. They were spamming finishers. Like if you were to start a match in a video game with 5 save finishers and you just started ding, 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 bell rings, and you just start hitting people with spears and jackhammers, that was these matches. And he finally goes out having like a respectable 15-minute long match at almost 60 years old in Atlanta, Georgia, at a show that was literally made for him, location for him. Started to get built, like you said, Bad Blood in October. I was there at the show when they started planting the seeds for this thing. I agree with Goldberg that they could have done more to promote it than like 3 little segments for like, over the last month or whatever. I'll agree there. But like, at the end of the day, you weren't going to run a Bill Goldberg, John Cena retirement tour at the same time. The same reason AEW probably was like, got out of the Jeff Jarrett retirement tour pretty quick. They're like, what are we like? We're going to look stupid. Like, look what they're doing over there with John Cena. So like, I don't think anyone should be running a retirement tour parallel to the John Cena one right now. Yeah, that's a little different. But I think that, it's just, yeah. I talked about it before too. If Goldberg would have won the championship, that also is like basically what Cena's trying to do as a heel. You win the title, you retire, or you win the title and you stick around for more matches that nobody really wants to see happen. So kind of the best case scenario wound up happening for everybody. He had a respectable match. He didn't win. Gunther's still the man. He's still the champion, as he should be. And now Goldberg is upset. I understand being upset that he got his time cut short on the microphone because the WWE should have been like, they knew there was a hard out. Everyone in the world knows there's a hard out on a show like that. Even the fans know it's going to be over the second that the show hits, the time to switch over on network TV. So like, that is the WWE's fault. Like, they could have made the match 10 minutes and gave him 5 full minutes to talk. Like, that could have totally been done. But I also don't really like how Goldberg is also saying stuff like, well, they would have never done that to The Undertaker. So yeah, because you don't mean what The Undertaker does to the WWE. Like, I was always a huge Bill Goldberg fan, but he was a humongous star for a very short time 30 years ago. The Undertaker is like a foundation in the WWE company. Bill Goldberg is the product of WCW. Like, you had other guys like Sting that were big stars in WCW as baby faces, but like
Sting.
Huh? Oh yeah, they treated Sting terrible, and then he wound up. I mean, at the end, he a match with Rollins that was scary. So like, it just gets to that point where you're like, dude, they gave you your whole show and they did it in front of your hometown and they made you the main event. If this was on a PLE, you wouldn't have been the main event. You wouldn't have had 10 minutes to talk. I mean, like, they might have given you some time. They might not have cut you off, but like, you wouldn't have been the main event at the end of the show. You probably wouldn't have had 15 minutes. It probably would have been a 3-minute sprint with Gunther, and that would have been the end of it. And then what? You probably would have wanted more, So I don't like that he's being like super ungrateful about the entire situation when like they've already given him his Hall of Fame. They've already given him multiple returns and multiple championships, big matches, big money. And like, he still seems unsatisfied. Like, they're working against him in some way, shape, or form. And the next question to ask is like, well, was that his last match? Would he go to AEW and have another match? And, could he? Hypothetically, maybe. But I also remember him having a conversation with AEW apparently years ago, and then he kind of like trashed the company. He was like, this roster's goofy or something. And it was like, well, that bridge is probably burned, especially knowing you're 60 years old and have a bad knee and hips and stuff. Like, I don't know how motivated AEW, but had you come over to AEW 3, 4, 5 years ago, you would have had a Sting style send off. But like, now, I'm just kind of at that point where I'm like, even as a humongous Bill Goldberg fan, it's disappointing that he just never seems satisfied. And he already, in my opinion, he's been given like I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't make me come off like a dick. Like, he's being too they've done more than they needed to for him already, is how I feel about it. Like, they've already, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't even need to give him this retirement match. They didn't have to do it. but they did, and they made it really special still. And it didn't go perfect, but it is what it is, so.
I think Tony Khan has the chance to do the funniest thing ever, and that is run Goldberg and Chris Jericho as Goldberg's retirement match and run it against an NXT show. I think that would be hilarious.
You said Goldberg versus Jericho?
Yeah.
QT said he's finding a quiet spot, so he should be joining us any second.
All right. I'm not going to dive into my thoughts.
No, we can talk more about this in about 15 minutes from now. But
I will say I don't fully agree with you. I'm kind of more on Goldberg's side, believe it or not.
I mean, like I said, I sympathize to him to a point, but then it gets, and you can break down certain stuff about it, of course, where it's like I said, they did cut him off. Like, they should have made more time for him, and also even on Peacock, like, that shouldn't have cut. Like, I understand it cutting on network TV, but like the Peacock feed didn't need to cut 10 minutes short. And also a big part of that too was apparently Cody Rhodes came out and like cut a whole speech about like,
that's what you're really mad about.
But like that, like Cody's the face of Atlanta for wrestling now. Goldberg used to be that. It's a cool moment between two guys that mean a lot for the city. Like, the only other person you could possibly have in there would be Buff Bagwell, and I think Cody would actually agree with that. Buff Bagwell was always the man around here. Oh, it looks like we have a guest. All right, I'm gonna bring him on here. Hopefully, he's in a nice quiet place. It looks like he's outside. All right, everyone, we have a guest joining us live right now. It's someone y'all are very familiar with. You know him from all over the world in pro wrestling. You know, from AEW. From the Nightmare Factory. He's a part of the Nightmare family. You know him from the revival of Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. You also know him from an upcoming show that's going to be happening on July 25th here in Atlanta, Summer Stage at Center Stage in Atlanta, Georgia for 1FW. Our guest today, really happy to have him, is QT Marshall.
How's it going, guys? Sorry, I'm
QT.
outside. We're in this building in, I don't even know where we are, Chicago for the residency. And it's just loud in there, so trying to do my best. I'm not a headphone guy on these things either, so.
Well, that's okay. You look good and you sound good, nice and clear. So
perfect.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for making time. We know you're a busy guy.
Oh yeah.
So, well, first off, before we get into 1FW, because we've been interviewing, we had the Frat House on last week. We had Angelica Risk before that. We're really pumped up for that show. But just really quick, coming off of All In and that whole week, how are you feeling coming out of that? A humongous success, it feels like, for AEW.
Incredible. I think we're on, as Tony always says, we're on a tremendous roll. I just think that, everything, we're just firing on all cylinders right now, and I think, there was maybe a little bit of stuff a year ago or so, but I think we've really found our groove and we know what our fans want, and I think we're giving it to them, and that's basically what this entire industry is about, right? Just service the fans that pay for this ticket. So I think we're doing a great job. All In, obviously, tremendous success. That whole week down in Arlington and Dallas and Garland, the whole deal. And now we're just started our residency last night in Chicago. And I think we have a really cool building. I don't know if you guys saw Dynamite last night.
Oh, yeah.
That building is just really cool. So I'm excited. Like I said, I think not worrying about wrestling while I'm here has helped out a lot to just kind of really focus on helping Tony and get these shows put together and so on and so forth.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think they mentioned, was it your birthday yesterday, QT?
It was. I turned 40, yeah.
Well, congratulations. Well, happy birthday.
Happy
birthday.
Yes.
I heard that on commentary last night, so very, very
there you go. Did Taz wish me happy birthday? Someone wish me happy, is that what you said?
Yeah, Taz and Excalibur. I think.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. Well,
yes.
It's funny because I share a birthday with Excalibur, and so we always had that joke. But now we have Bobby Lashley and Speedball share the same birthday. So, I don't know what the pecking order is for that. So.
Yeah, they had the whole birthday cavalcade yesterday. They're like, oh yeah, it's yours, Excalibur, it's Lashley, it's Speedball, it's QT Marshall. They were throwing out birthdays from a week ago. I think,
exactly.
Well. How's the residency stuff been? Because you guys are doing the one in Chicago. You just mentioned you did the esports stadium last year. You're doing 2300 Arena. The venues, kudos on some of the venue choices this year, by the way. The Phoenix Theater that you guys ran earlier this year, that was a really nice setup. This Chicago is a really good setup. There's the venue in Cincinnati that's really nice. Like, I really love the venues that you were going to, but the decision to move towards kind of the smaller venues, the more intimate venues, and also like doing the residency, kind of what went into all that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak too much. I'm not on that side of it. I just think we could run these arenas. Now, granted, I think we were getting really good deals on bigger arenas. So that's probably why we took them. But at the same time, if we can't fill a 15,000 seat arena, I think our sweet spot is about, 3,000 to 5,000 for Dynamites and stuff, and maybe 2 to 4 for Collision. So these smaller buildings have really helped out. Just bring the emotion from the crowd. When you're in a huge building and it's not full, I think wrestling fans are very timid to make noise and so on and so forth. So when you have a better, atmosphere, there's a lot more energy in the building and so on and so forth. So I think they're just great. You know what I mean? And I think just being able to bring, AEW to a city for longer than just one day probably really helps out, just establishing that as a wrestling city. And Chicago's always been our spot, so we always wanted to go there. And then obviously Tony being a humongous fan of ECW and the ECW arena. So being able to go to the 2300. And I know Arlington at the esports, that was more of probably like a package deal for All In and working with the city of Arlington. So they've just been great. And deep down, I'm hoping for one in Atlanta. Sorry, there's going to be a train that passes by. It's literally the best of the best, So, but yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I think it's really good to have these, smaller buildings. But I mean, our pay-per-views, they're always going to do great numbers. I think that's one of the things that we do better than I think anyone ever is just put on the greatest pay-per-views possible. So those are probably going to be those bigger buildings, and of course, bigger cities and so on and so forth. But if you're going to do a residency, I think the smaller building is definitely the way to go if you're asking these fans to come every week and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I really like the smaller venues personally. I think the vibe, the buildings, like from a fan perspective, I really, really enjoy it. And we and Jeremy were just talking about it before you came on here. All In being the longest wrestling pay-per-view of all time, it didn't drag. Like, it was from start to finish. I loved every minute of that show, from the pre-show all the way through the main event. Like, so you're right. AEW does pay-per-view at the highest level possible, in my opinion. So love all the moves that y'all are making there. Speaking of venues, you just mentioned Atlanta. You have 1FW Summer Stage coming up next week here in Atlanta. What's it mean to be bringing that company to a venue like Center Stage?
Yeah, so, a lot of people don't know this. 1FW was something that I created in 2017 when I first moved to Atlanta. We had the One Fall Power Factory. It was like the school that I had, and I never wanted a wrestling promotion to sound like a school. So I came up with One Fall. I was a little ahead of the time, right? Because now everyone chants it as soon as the match is scheduled for One Fall. But I was a little ahead of the times. And then, when Cody and I partnered, I wasn't really I didn't have enough time to run a show due to AEW and so on and so forth. And then when I took my little hiatus from AEW, I decided to start running shows again. And then we thought about doing the Turnbuckle brand. So we gave it a shot. We did really well. It was like a nice relaunch, and we did a tour. We called it the relaunch tour. We did a year, and we were hoping, maybe to do more. But honestly, with Cody with the WWE ID thing, and it just gets a little crazy. So, I had all the assets already, and I had everything going, and basically we just, kind of morphed back into the 1FW, and it was always a thing of mine that I wanted to run Center Stage, and Teal and I spoke about it, and collectively we came up with the name Summer Stage. And it's just something that, these kids, they work every weekend. And, we're all out there for basically next to nothing, peanuts, and then I try to put the money back into the shows. That's why they have like an LED screen when they come out. I try to really go above and beyond to give the athletes like something they can be proud of. Right. And I figure like, hey, if we could do something, maybe we don't, make a lot of money, or maybe we even lose some money. But hey, to be able to say that you wrestled at Center Stage, it's pretty cool. And I know a lot of those kids might not ever get to do that for a major company or something like that. And so if at least we could do it once, I'm hoping to do it every year, at least once a year. I think we're doing decently with tickets. I think we're at like the 250 mark, 260, something like that. Plus we got some giveaways through our sponsors and stuff. So pretty excited about it. I mean, it should be a great show. And like I said, if nothing else, just something cool to be able to, to tip your hat to. Hey, you guys got to perform at Center Stage, which is obviously a historic venue. I mean, shoot, we got Tony Schiavone to come back after 31 years. It's pretty exciting. So, yeah, I'm pumped for it.
Was there anything because we've seen this in the past with kind of arena agreements, and you can't run a certain time after this company is run. Obviously, WWE just ran on Saturday. Was that any type of an issue?
No, well, they booked it way after I did, and I think they paid a lot more than I did. I don't know. I think they get to do whatever they want, right? And I was excited for it because we have some AEW talent that are going to be there. MJF being one of them. So I'm pretty sure I was in Texas, but I'm pretty sure a couple of my kids were out there handing out some flyers, and that we had a flyer that very much looked like an AEW flyer, to kind of, because that's our fan base as well, right? So if we can steal a couple of those people, and also, Great American Bash, I mean, that's a huge show for NXT, and they were able to charge a premium price for it. But, we're just a bunch of independent wrestlers trying to put on an independent show. So ours is a lot more affordable. So I was kind of hoping that hitting those price points would help out a lot. And we did see a pretty good jump just on ticket sales after the weekend. So we still have another week and a half. Like I said, I think we'll be doing all right. I'm just excited for it. I mean, I'm excited for the kids to get to do stuff. And, I've wrestled there before. It's a really cool venue. And, we normally run the outskirts of Atlanta. So, a lot of people shy away from Atlanta because it's hard. There's so much to do in Atlanta. So wrestling is, if you're not AEW or WWE, I mean, hell, even AEW, they go to Duluth, and now we go towards the airport, College Park, and stuff. But our shows are predominantly in Watkinsville, out in the Athens area, or McDonough. So it's like, hey, let's try to pull these people and try to get them centralized to Center Stage, once a year, kind of like they're all in, right? I mean, give our kids a chance to, like I said, just do something that they normally wouldn't get to do. So.
I actually attended y'all's show in April, at the end of April. It was, I can't remember the name of the venue, but it was like inside of a brewery.
Sure. Out in Watkinsville?
Yeah. And it was a really good time for anybody listening to this. Like, I highly recommend checking the shows out. I thought that venue was really cool too. I had no idea that like they could even get a ring in there. And then like you go down, it's like this. I was so confused because like the entrance ramp was also like where the wrestlers or where the fans kind of went in and out from too. But but it was a lot of fun. Like intermission, it was cool. Like I become friends over the years with Jack Jameson, and it was cool being able to see him and Diamond Sheik and those kind of guys and stuff. So like. I would highly recommend anyone listening to this to support 1FW and what they're doing, not just the Center Stage, but everywhere around Atlanta.
Yeah, we just try to. We're not really huge into doing storylines for every show. I try to do, if we're going to do storylines, we try to do them in the show, kind of. Obviously, we built some matches at Center Stage to really try to help, but it's more or less just a lot of it is just for them to go out there and get good repetitions. Right? Because the only way, I don't care what anyone says, the only way you get good at this job is to do it. And to do it in front of actual human beings that pay money. Because they're going to give you their genuine feedback. So we just try to run as many shows as possible. And the breweries are really good too because, they just want entertainment for their establishment so they can sell their beer. And we just want people in the door. And a drunk crowd is pretty good as well. But we do try to keep it family friendly. This way there's, no cursing, stuff like that. We just, again, it's just to get reps out there. And I mean, I love to wrestle, so if I could wrestle 5 times on the show, I would. And I stress to the kids, to try to get out there and get on other shows as well. And a lot of them don't want to, they just want to wrestle at one fall, and it's like, I understand why, of course, because it's closer to home and they know they're going to get in a safe ring and be in there with safe people and they don't really have to worry. And it's very hard, and as an independent wrestler to make a lot of money unless you're really getting yourself out there and hustling. So I've always, I was never really the journeyman on the indies. I just never really got into that. It was more or less, I'm going to use this as practice and try to, when the opportunity comes. But the game has kind of changed a little bit too. So we try to stress to get out there and do more, but, I'm not going to force them to not come do the shows either,
Who are maybe some names you would want to shout out that like maybe some of the younger kids that you've been involved with like training and their progress that maybe like we haven't seen on TV yet, maybe just some names for people to look out for?
Yeah, I mean, the two in the main event, right? Brady Booker and Elijah Drago. I mean, they're two studs. They're going to be in a steel cage match, which is pretty cool. For the 1FW title that Elijah has. Those guys are, like I said, two studs. You guys spoke with Angelica Risk. I know she's been on TV before. There's another young lady, Isis Reed. I call her Kiki. She's, I don't even think she's 18 to be honest, but she's been wrestling a very long time. She started with, I believe, Fred Yehai and Jonathan Gresham, and then she came over to us, and she wrestles all the time for us, and she does really well. She's in the women's title match. I mean, our whole roster is just a bunch of good kids that, they all are like just missing something, right? And again, we try to help them as much as we can, but the only, like I said, not just getting good at the job, but figuring out who you are. And you're only going to do that by trying things. And I know a lot of people are like into the streaming stuff and so on and so forth. I'm not into that. I want the fans to come to the building and watch the show. And two, I don't want to expose any of the kids, right? Like if they're still learning and they're just practicing and they're trying different ideas for character stuff, I don't want that, being streamed live. It's just your first time you're out there and you're trying stuff. You know what I mean? And I think the fan base that we have is a great fan base. I call them easy, meaning like they're very easy to please. They're very forgiving, right? Because again, these kids they're still learning. So, I think it's just great all around. And like I said, it was always a goal of mine to have a show. Obviously with AEW it was a little harder, but when I came back to AEW, that was one of the things I really kind of put my foot down on with Tony, was that I really wanted to be able to do my own thing as well. And have the support of being able to use my students. And, if there's an AEW person in town, they want to come get an extra rep in or they want to get back. Like Jay Lethal's been great. He always wants to do stuff. He doesn't ever want me to like even take care of. He's great. And we have a lot of those that, like Colton and Austin and, so I just think if you're a wrestler and you're around wrestling, you want to get in the ring no matter what. So like I said, we have our roster and they do a great job. I'm proud of them. And I think like, again, this is kind of like a giant thank you to them and all their hard work. I mean, when we get to the building, everything's already set up. They take care of all the stuff. They break down. It's not just what you see in the ring. So it's like, if we can reward them, then sometimes I reward them by getting the book for TV, right? It's like, it's, hey, but I need to see them working hard. I need to see that they're progressing and so on and so forth, This way, when the opportunity comes, the last thing I want is for one of them to get a chance and then it doesn't work. You know what I mean? That's like the worst feeling in the world. And so we just want to get them as ready as possible. So,
QT, we appreciate you joining us here tonight. It is One Fall Wrestling. I'll make sure I get the plug correctly here. It's One Fall Wrestling. It is the summer stage event, Friday, July 25th. QT will be teaming with the Gun Club to take on the Frat House, who you saw on the show last week. We got Jay Lethal against Adam Priest as well on the show. Adam Priest, we're big fans of him. He's been on the show multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned it, steel cage match. Elijah Drago against Brady Booker. There's a coffin match as well. There's appearances by MJF, Tony Schiavone. I believe Harley Cameron is going to be there as well. Did I miss anything? Make sure.
Well, so we have a new championship. First of all, I want to say thank you to Dalton Carpet One. They're our partners. They really help us out. We just got all these new titles, and one of them is the Dalton Carpet One. Basically, it's the breakout title, and what that is the Power Factory and the Nightmare Factory, collectively has put a lot of people on the map. And I feel that we're going to do a casino gauntlet. I obviously stole the idea from Tony, which he's okay with, I think.
Does he have a trademark on that?
I think he does, believe it or not. But I'm not going to tell him. We're just going to do it. And, the winner will be the first ever breakout champion. And I feel like the person that wins that title, I'm hoping that it's something that will elevate them. Right. And it's going to kind of tell the world that like, hey, this is someone to look out for. So I'm excited about that. It's a good way to get a lot of people on the event as well. And not just do a traditional battle royal or Royal Rumble. We still might do a battle royal. Depends on how many of the kids show up with their gear to help set up and maybe do something on the pre-show and stuff. You know, I want to say thank you to Dasha. She's going to come and be our special ring announcer. Glacier Ray Lloyd will be there. I mean, you never know. And the one thing I will say about our shows, just because of the, you know, connections that we're fortunate enough to have, you just never know who's going to show up. And, you know, so I'm not promising anything, but I will just say you just never know. And it's always cool to have that in your back pocket. I'm a huge believer in under promising and over delivering, and not to talk about what you do, right? Just do it. And then the word will spread. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about how great our shows are, or I could just invite people to come watch, and then hopefully they make that decision for themselves. You know, like I said, we've done a really great job of loading up our schedule, and you know, like it's just getting as many reps in as possible for these kids, and you can just see the progression. They're just doing so much better than they were even a year ago, and that's really the name of this game. You know, get out there, get in front of people, get your stuff in, and get out before you overstay your welcome.
QT, again, we appreciate you joining us here. We know you're a busy person. Jensen, I think I speak for Jensen. Love to have you back on. I have a million questions about my feud of the year last year, which was you and Big Boom AJ. I legitimately think that is the greatest feud of all time, and I'm a big fan of Big Boom. So definitely want to talk about that with you.
Yeah, we could do it. As long as we just got to make sure I don't schedule you guys on a Collision night. I didn't realize we were taping Collision, you know. We got about 9 minutes till Collision. So I think they're still doing some ROH matches or something, but we can get into the Big Boom AJ stuff. That's one of my favorite things I've ever done in my career. It was, you know, I mean, it's one of the greatest things I think I've done.
It's so good.
When it comes to like the overall business of doing something in professional wrestling, right? Like I've had better matches, maybe I've had better angles, stuff like that. But overall, what it could do, what it did for me, what it did for AEW, what it did for AJ, I just think overall it was like a home run. You know, I would even say a grand slam. It was a grand slam, an AEW grand slam. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, he did a great job at All In as well. Again, who knows? Maybe there'll be a rematch. We never know. You know.
Need to see it again. I love that feud from last year. It's great. So thank you again, QT.
Yes. Of course, guys.
Enjoy your night. I know it's a busy night. We appreciate your time, guys. Everyone go to 1fw.com. Is the
1FW Live, I think it is.
1FW Live. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. 1fwlive.com for the tickets. Again, it's 1FW Summer Stage, July 25th. Go get your tickets if you're in the Atlanta area. Go get them. QT, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll schedule another one soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, QT.
All right. Bye.
Awesome. What a nice guy.
I completely forgot it was a Collision night for him too.
Yeah, I did. I knew he was going to be busy based on Jameson saying he was like doing some sort of work, but he's such a busy guy that I'm thinking he's working like Nightmare Factory or like doing something like not as important as doing an interview during Collision pretty much.
Yeah, he mentioned he they're the ballroom. Like, oh yeah, they're probably just like setting up or going over things for last night's show and the upcoming shows and what that makes sense. I'm like, oh, when he said Collision, like, oh yeah, that is taping literally in like 7 minutes. So
yeah, that's what a good guy. That was very, very nice of him to do that, especially being literally at Collision right now. So we would love to have him on again sometime soon. Full disclosure,
I thought he would enjoy talking about the Big Boom AJ stuff, so trying to reel him back in with that one. So
full disclosure for anyone who may not know, we rarely ever have anyone on the show for interviews from AEW just because there's kind of the extra layer of getting permission and whatnot, the major companies and stuff. So like to be able to get that with QT was super, super cool. We rarely, we specialize obviously in interviewing, indie talent and, content creators and stuff like that. But it's pretty rare for us to get someone like, like QT that's contracted like that. So that kind of a cool little moment for us. And he couldn't have been nicer. So that was awesome.
Yeah. The fact that he was at the venue and they're probably running ROH matches. right now.
That's why he was like, I need to get somewhere quiet. It's like, because they're literally having wrestling matches next to you right now. Gotcha. Oh, man.
We appreciate QT joining us. Appreciate One Fall Wrestling. They've been really good to us over the past few weeks with Angelica Risk, Frat House last week, and then QT this week. So their show is July 25th. And go check them out if you're in the area. It's 1fwlive.com. You can get tickets.
I'll probably see if there's anyone else. We might do someone else from 1FW maybe next week going into the show. Maybe at the Cena City Invitationals this weekend. So maybe we interview the winner of that, depending on who that is. That's kind of up in there. We will definitely continue to cover 1FW though. Even if it's the week after 1FW, we can get someone on to tell us like how the show went or something. So definitely keep your eyes and ears open for more stuff when it comes to One Fall Wrestling. But yeah, they have been very good at us. The one loophole, like I mentioned, we rarely get people that are like, on TV is Jameson, but that's really more so because we had a relationship with him before he got signed. So like that's been really easy to just like be like, hey man, you want to do something, and he's able to do it. Then we were able to get him with QT, which is very, very cool. So I'm very, very happy with that they were able to give us their time. That was great. And it was less work for me too. Usually I have to go back and forth scheduling stuff with wrestlers back and forth, make sure everyone's good. This was pretty flawless for a guy who's incredibly busy, for him to be able to just be, yeah, we're good. It's like perfect. So awesome. Do you want to talk more about Bill Goldberg?
So I'm kind of on Goldberg's side.
Okay, let's hear it.
WWE called him to do this retirement match.
But was he not like complaining publicly for like a while about it?
He said Vince owed him a retirement match that he never got. He was mentioning it publicly, but WWE didn't have to call it. It could have been like, all right, well, too bad, go do it elsewhere. If that's what you want to do, go to your retirement match elsewhere. He wanted to do, or they called him to do the retirement match. They shot the angle in October. They announced the retirement match in November. They didn't do anything else with it until a couple weeks before, when they were like, oh yeah, Goldberg's final match at Saturday night's main event. Yeah. And then they gave him very little notice of getting friends there, I guess. That whole story seems a little wonky to me. Like, I feel like they had that Atlanta date a little beforehand, but maybe they certainly didn't promote it until just before. I mean, when did they announce? They announced Saturday night's main event. WWE announces Evolution 2, Evolution in Atlanta, because that's when they made the announcement. They announced May 27th. So you had about a month and a half between the announcement and the show. That's when they announced Saturday night's main event in Atlanta, where it was assumed that Goldberg would have his last match. They didn't actually announce Goldberg's last match until a couple weeks before that. I don't know for certain when they told him, hey, this is the date with everything, this is what we're going to do, because he's got to make arrangements. He mentioned that like he only had 3 weeks notice to like make arrangements for everybody to be there, and certain people couldn't be there because they already made other plans. I don't know all of that, what went into all of that. Maybe he'll give more insights in 2 weeks when he says more. Them cutting him off, they could have planned for that.
Yep.
They knew they had the hard out at 10. They could have cut time off of Solo and Jimmy. They could have cut video packages.
They could have time off their own match. Like, they didn't need to go 15 minutes. They could have went 10 minutes, and would have had 5 minutes to talk for sure. I
mean, I do think that he would have been upset if they went shorter, because the guy prepared this long for one match, and then you're only going to give me 10 minutes. I think he wanted to do roughly 15 minutes. I think he wanted to have a longer match. He, by all accounts, did a lot of hard training for this match, and I don't think he wanted to do a 2-3 minute squash. I think he wanted to do something a little bit longer, but they didn't have to cut him off when they did. They could have planned better for that. I don't think the promotion for the match was good.
I agree.
He mentioned that he didn't care about the world title because like he's had a million world title matches. He loses every single one of them. Why is why is it important that this is a world title match? Like, I agreed with that. It's like, yeah, I think he wanted to do something that had a little bit more story to it. The story was, you disrespected my family. That was the same story they did with Bobby Lashley. Like, this wasn't a real actual like story.
And they called it Goldberg's last ride, which is also what they called the Undertaker's thing also. Didn't they call the Undertaker's final run? It was like Undertaker's last ride. Like, it was it seemed very thrown together. For something that was planned since the end of last year, it seemed very thrown together over the last month, for sure.
Well, we know why, though. Look at what weekend it was on. It didn't have to run this weekend. They wanted to run this weekend because they wanted to steal headlines from the other company.
Yeah, for sure.
And having Goldberg's last match as part of that, they thought they were going to steal headlines with that. Same thing with Evolution. They wanted to steal headlines with that. So yeah, it did feel a little haphazardly thrown together because they only put it there for one reason. I think Goldberg kind of knows that too. And I think, without saying as much, maybe this will be something he says in 2 weeks, I think that's what he's also hinting at, is you just kind of threw this together to counter program AEW and you didn't actually care to do a proper retirement match. I think the other part, like, he's a WCW guy.
Yep.
Look what they did with Sting. They don't care about these WCW guys. Look how they've treated just about every single WCW guy that has come in. Is there a good example?
Yeah, there are a couple. So you have Rey Mysterio, who didn't come in right after the invasion, but like obviously he's done great. Booker T, but like Booker T's introduction,
not right in. Booker T.
His introduction was them acting like they didn't know who he was. The Rock was like, "Who is this guy?" And that's why Sting didn't even show up. So I get all that, but over time, obviously Booker T had a successful career. He's still in the company. Like,
Booker T became successful with King Booker, and that was a WWE creation, and that's why he was able to find success. Ray became successful through longevity, and it was like, well, now you're just more of a WWE guy than a WCW guy, because yes, Ray, technically a WCW guy, he was a cruiserweight. It's not like he was a top guy over there. Booker was a champion. Goldberg was a champion. Sting was a champion. Scott Steiner was a champion.
Yeah.
Ray was just kind of a guy. Diamond Dallas Page, a champion. Ray was a guy who was just there in the company. Same Eddie, kind of the same thing. Benoit, kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, they were guys. Jericho, they were guys in WCW, and then they became bigger guys in WWE. The guys who were successful in WCW, they didn't fare so well in WWE.
Yeah. I agree with you, and that's a good example.
Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett got fired the second that the moment Vince had a chance to publicly fire Jeff Jarrett, he took it. That's still one of the funniest things to me about when Vince bought the company. One of the first things he made sure to do on national television on the simulcast was like, Jeff Jarrett's gone.
I mean, if you look at the reigns of the WCW heavyweight champions from the final night for maybe the last 5 years, Booker T, again, became a guy in WWE because of a WWE gimmick. Scott Steiner, we know what happened there.
Yep.
Oh, Vince Russo. Jesus Christ. Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash, okay. He was
a WWE guy prior. Obviously.
Yeah, he was a WWE guy prior. Jarrett, Flair, WWE guy prior. And Flair is a success just by being Ric Flair.
Flair was a GOAT before he even had his WWE run in like 92 or whatever. Yeah.
The list of these champions are god-awful. David Arquette. The title changes every 7 days. It's the same people.
It's like Sid, technically not Benoit.
It's truthfully hilarious. Yeah, Sid never came to WWE. Yeah, Benoit, again, which they just immediately vacated. Brett, there's a lot of vacating.
The Benoit one is even more interesting because obviously he's been taken out of the record books for good reason. I'm not against the idea of striking Benoit from the record books given what happened, obviously. But like his was struck before even all of that. Like WCW didn't even recognize him as the champion. We all saw him win the title, but like because he left with the championship and immediately went to the WWF, they just that also never happened.
Yeah.
No, but no, you're right. I mean, yeah, you're right. So Goldberg, I get your point though. It's Goldberg was very much not only not a Vince McMahon creation. He also was the most successful creation of WCW, not WWF, WCW.
And Goldberg and Triple H famously didn't get along. They famously didn't get along. So, do I think Goldberg was over gripey with some things? Yeah. But that's part of the charm of it to me. I was like, yeah, who cares? Go scorched earth on him. I'm very much looking forward to this podcast in 2 weeks where I hope he gives a little bit more insight onto things. But I don't buy the, you should have been grateful for this. Like, they didn't have to do this for you. Like, yeah, they didn't have to, but they did. And then they half-assed it when they did it. So that's not Goldberg's fault. They called him to do it. They promoted it for him. They decided to do this. Yes, they didn't have to do this in the first place. I do agree with that. But they did. So why not make the most out of it? And they did.
No, I agree. I mean, my main points that I agree with that I don't think are really even arguable that are pro Goldberg is they 100% could have timed it better to where he could have done his speech without getting cut off. They 1,000,000% could have done that, and they 1,000,000% could have promoted it better. Like I don't know how. I mean, they definitely could have promoted it better. I don't know how long they needed to promote it or like how often Goldberg needed to show up to promote it, but they needed a better story and it did feel very thrown together within like a month or whatever. It's like, he shows up on Raw a couple times, tries to spear Gunther a couple times, says you're next, goes out there,
the same story they've always done.
Right. And it was just like 3 weeks which is all he's pretty much been doing, right, to your point, ever since he started doing the returns with like Ziggler pretty much, where like it just, or even like the Undertaker, like pretty much everything after that WrestleMania 33 match with Brock, pretty much everything else after that has been this type of build. And you're right, WWE, like they didn't have to do it. They decided to do it. They did it in Atlanta, but that's why I think there's two sides to this too, because it's like you still got a hometown show that was built around you. Like what I think he can be mad about is the build and getting cut off in the speech. I think he can rightfully be upset about that. What I'm interested to know is how much what else he's planning to say or is going to say in 2 weeks. What platform he's going to use to say it. I don't know if he's going back on Helwani or if he's got
he's got his own podcast.
He's going to do it off his own podcast.
I would assume. I don't know this for certain. That's just my guess.
And why 2 weeks? Is that like when his WWE contract is up or whatever?
That's also my guess. Helwani asked, like, did you sign an NDA? And he said, yeah, let's say that. My guess is, again, I have no inside information. I don't know anything. My guess is that he actually did have some type of contract with WWE that ends in July, and he will speak about this at the end of July.
Well, and that'll be interesting, to hear what he has to say. Maybe there's more of this that will make me side with Goldberg even more. Maybe after he says what he says, I'll be less on his side. I really don't know. But, I do think that Goldberg wants us all thinking right now that there's a possibility this wasn't his last match after all. Like, I think he's trying to make I think he's continuing to try to build some sort of hype around the idea that we have not actually seen the last of him because he is not satisfied with how things ended now. and it's not going to happen in the WWE. So it would most likely happen in AEW. There are probably a lot of things that would have to get figured out for that to happen. And Tony Khan and the company would want to have a desire to even do that and promote it in the, like, I don't know if it's even the bet, like, I don't know how much that would really even help AEW in one way, shape, or form at this point to have Goldberg even come in. And another thing is too, is like, what else is he upset about that he couldn't talk about for the next 2 weeks? Like, was he expecting to go in there and just like destroy Gunther and like leave with the championship and like have the city of Atlanta parade him around on his shoulders like Rudy with his son with his shirt off again or something? What was he like? The match went as good as it possibly could have. He probably had the best actual wrestling match of his life over the weekend. He just didn't get enough time to talk about it afterwards. And that sucks. But we still ultimately saw it on YouTube or whatever. I mean, like, it's not, I understand. I'd be upset too if I was him, but I'd also I don't think I'd be as upset if I was in his shoes. I'm not in his shoes. I can't speak for the man. I've always been a longtime fan of his. It hurts me to even be saying these things about him because of the respect I have for Bill Goldberg. But at a certain point too, you just kind of like, you just kind of get sick of hearing certain stuff. You're just like, man, you got a pretty damn good send off. A couple things didn't go right, but like, what's it look like in AEW? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Who do you want to do it against anywhere else to make this right? Like a couple of years ago, you could have done like him and Wardlow when everyone's doing the Wardlow chants or something. That would have made sense 3 years ago. Like, but you don't want him to come into AEW and like
Jericho.
Well, yeah, so that actually is a great shout out though. Like, honestly, they have history. Yeah, it makes more sense. And Jericho would actually put him over if they came down to them wanting to do. I think Jericho's at this point in his career probably with AEW where I don't think he wants to go out there and just like lose to everybody, but I think he's just cool 1 foot in, 1 foot out either way. Like, either he's gonna keep cashing checks with AEW and be involved to whatever degree he is, or when the ride's over, he goes back to WWE for his final goodbye, big return over there, So
I don't know if Jericho's going back to WWE.
I don't know either, but he might. That's a whole other conversation itself, because I don't know how long his deal is and if he wants to.
It's at the end of this year. It's publicly known that it's the end of this year.
Okay, yeah, he's gonna be in the Royal Rumble next year. If his contract's up like at the end of the calendar year, he'll be in the Royal Rumble 2026.
I don't think the wrestlers have faith that they're gonna get a good send off in WWE right now. Like,
yeah, but I don't think Jericho's thinking like immediate send off either. He'd go back for another run. I don't think it'd be like one match. It'd be either like a condensed schedule thing where he's back for like years, but he's only wrestling like a handful of times or something. I don't think
know what his relationship is like with Triple H either. Those two have always been a little.
They used to really not get along.
Yeah, they've always kind of butted heads a little bit. By Jericho's own admission of this stuff. So I don't know what that relationship is like. Like, he's got it pretty good in AEW, and Tony Khan obviously really loves him and will kind of give him anything. The Young Bucks love him. They understand Jericho's importance to the overall company.
Yeah.
Like, they'll give him kind of anything he wants to do. Where in WWE, look, we saw Cope leave WWE because they wanted him to just do a light schedule, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to do more. I don't know how much he would get in WWE. Just don't.
Yeah. We'll see if it winds up happening. But I do like the idea of Goldberg versus Jericho because of their history. But there aren't a whole lot of matches that make sense for Goldberg to come in, especially if he's going to come in and like beat someone in AEW just for the sake of like. Because like, what are we really doing at this point? It's just like how big of a celebration do we need to continually have for Bill Goldberg? Like, do we need to do this again in AEW and all of us?
Yeah.
All right, Goldberg. Yes, you were awesome in 1998. It was incredible in 1998.
I don't think we do need it. Like, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think we need to do it again. Like, I hope this is it. Do I wish things would have been done differently for Goldberg? Yeah. At the end of the day, like, does it really matter or affect me? No. But I understand him not being happy with it. But yeah, I don't need to see another Goldberg retirement thing. I just don't. I didn't really need to see this one, but they did it. And I think they could have done a better job in certain aspects.
Well, in AEW especially, they're all just going to get compared to Sting's now, and like nothing's going to top that. Like, it's going to be so hard for someone to top Sting's retirement that he got in AEW. That was so awesome. So, like, yeah, I don't know. But I'm interested to hear what Goldberg has to say in 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Well, I'll be listening.
I'm sure.
My WWE spotlight is Naomi cashing in, winning the Women's World Championship to close Evolution, as Rhea and Io were down and having a great match. Naomi ran down, cashed in, hit the split-legged moonsault on Io, won the championship. Very surprising moment, because we all thought Naomi was going to go after Cargill or Tiffany. She even said it, like, all you idiots thought that's where I was going. Nope. I decided to go here. Now I'm coming on Raw to turn things around. Everybody proceed with caution. What'd you make of this moment, Jensen? Were you surprised by it as well?
It was awesome. I started thinking it could happen around the time that I'm sure everyone did. Like, when both women were down, and like we've just watched wrestling for so long that certain times when the camera switched to like the shot where it's like both women down and they're showing the entrance ramp. That's when I was like, okay, like if they're gonna do a cash in, it's about to happen. But you never know if it's gonna be real cash in. Like, we see plenty of teases of that where someone runs down that for one reason or another doesn't actually wind up cashing in for the shot. This I thought was done great. I thought the actual match between Rhea and Io was awesome. That might have been. Did you like that or Mercedes and Tony better?
I like Mercedes. I like Mercedes and Tony slightly better. The Io and Rhea. This is not a knock on them. The fact that it ended with a cash in kind of takes away from like their singles match as far as the conclusion goes. Had that been a match where, let's just say, Rhea won or Io won, then I would view it a little bit differently than it is in how I view it now, because I view it more as like this was a moment for Naomi, which was great, but not like it took away from like the actual conclusion of the match between Rhea and Io.
I understand what you're saying for sure. It's hard to compare the two because like the actual match with Rhea and Io I thought was great, but then the overall moment at the end was Naomi winning, and not really a match. It was like just the moment of her winning the championship at the end. Did they already announce the triple threat for this? Yes. Okay, so they're doing technically a rematch. I thought this was great. I want to see, because obviously this isn't the last we've ever seen of Jade versus Naomi, and obviously Jade beat her earlier in the night in the no holds bar match, which I thought was good as well. I really like the finish with the Jaded through the table. I like that they're kind of keeping each other away from one another with that, at least for the time being, with Naomi being the Raw Women's Champion now, and Jade Cargill, even though, I mean, hashtag the brand split isn't real, but like,
it's not.
Jade, hypothetically speaking, they can keep Jade away from Naomi for a little while before they come back to that. Because you can do that match at, another big pay-per-view, or you can even wait until WrestleMania. Eventually, I think Jade's going to beat Naomi for the championship, considering their history with one another. There's a lot of things they can do. Maybe they don't wait that long. Maybe Naomi drops it to one of these other women on Raw. Who knows? But there's always going to be that lingering thing in the fans' minds and in WWE's booking where, like, Jade just beat Naomi. So, like, obviously she should get a shot at her if they were on the same show, but they aren't. But that said, I'm very happy for Naomi. I said it before, think she's doing the best work of her career right now. Actually, by far, like she was over at points with like the glow thing, especially around the time of like WrestleMania in Orlando, because she's from around there. I remember she won the women's Andre or whatever they called it. What do they call the women's battle? They called it something at first and they changed it because it was
it was the Moolah,
right?
I think they just called it the women's battle royal, and they haven't done it the 1 year.
Oh, was it only the 1 year that Naomi won?
I think so. I don't remember them doing it again. Maybe they did, but it wasn't a thing like the Andre has become.
Right. But anyway, yeah, Naomi, I'm happy for her. Congratulations. It's another, it's kind of funny, not funny, but it's interesting seeing like in that, like the trajectory of the members of that family where you have like Jey Uso has become like this big single star in his own, former world champion. Naomi, best run of her career, currently one of the women's world champions. You got Solo, current United States champion, got that whole thing with the new bloodline. And it's like, Jimmy's just got to be like, guys, me next, right? Like, what do we got cooking for me next? Because like everyone around me is like killing it. Like, what's next for me? But yeah, I'm happy for Naomi, and I thought Io and Rhea totally killed it. And then the other, like I said, I like Jade and Naomi a lot. I like both. Y'all know that I'm a huge Jade fan. But I really enjoyed the opening match, the triple threat. I thought that was like a really good way to start Evolution off, and I loved the finish of that one where Lyra was like pinning Bayley, but Becky came up with that. Oh, right. Oh, because she pinned Bayley.
Yeah, no,
that's right.
Yeah,
Bayley was pinning Lyra. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, Bayley was pinning Lyra, and then Becky came up and did like that spinning crucifix onto Bayley to pin her. I thought that was a really nice finish, and the match was like 16 minutes long, and I thought it was great. That was a great way to start the pay-per-view off. PLE, whatever you want to call it. So, did you have any thoughts on that opener? I thought that was really good.
Oh, I thought that was an excellent match, and not quite on Rhea and Io, but since it like had a distinct finish with everything, like on par, honestly, with that match. I thought the whole show was great from start to finish. That was proof that WWE can do a show that is well paced and still gives you plenty of in-ring action. That's not 4 matches and half commercials for a PLE. So I hope they figure that out and kind of follow this formula a little bit moving forward, because this was a lot better than some of these other pay-per-views that they've had where you get 4 matches and 30 minutes of commercials in between them.
Right. Yeah, I thought the pacing and everything was really good. Like I like this show on a wrestling packed weekend between this All In. I've just seen bits and pieces of the NXT show. And then of course you had like all the indie shows that I cover as well and stuff. So like there was, on a wrestling packed weekend, I felt like Evolution was kind of getting lost in the mix overall, and I don't pay as close attention to like the weekly WWE products. So like I could be totally off base, but I just felt like it wasn't. It also wasn't announced that long ago. Like it just kind of felt like it was thrown in. Like there's all these events happening. We got Saturday night's main event, Evolution, NXT. Then on the other side, you got AEW, you got Ring of Honor, you got the indie stuff. It was just like, but then this show really killed. Like this was a great show. And to your point, they should absolutely do this yearly. It should be an annual pay-per-view, no question, in my opinion. Also, shout out to Trish Stratus. She can still go. I know she wrestles like still semi-regularly, but I thought her and Tiffany was solid. It was short, but I thought it was solid. Like this was, Stephanie Becerra. It makes sense. I'm not like the huge. I don't dislike Stephanie, but like I don't know if I see what other people do. It seems like they're really, really, really behind her. Like so, I'm interested to see who she challenges at Clash in Paris, and I can't imagine she wins at that show.
I don't know,
but they really they really pushed her heavily in NXT. She was champ there, right? She had both the titles, both the women's titles.
Yep.
and she's already had a lot of success in the main roster. So I like that they have new women constantly in the mix, getting opportunities. I'm just interested to see the trajectory of Stephanie. I feel like she's getting like pushed a lot really quickly, but like I always get worried if like, people come in, they get heavy initial pushes, they get title shots, they don't win those, and then they get kind of in like mid-card like purgatory because they've already had their title shots so soon, So like that's the only thing I guess I'm kind of like looking out to see kind of what happens with Stephanie. But it's a good problem to have. You have potentially another, long-term main eventer on your hands with her because she is very talented. Does she speak English, Stephanie Becaire? It's like a little English.
Yeah, she speaks a little bit of English. It's not her first language, but she's getting more comfortable with it.
Not that that's the be all end all, obviously. I know like EO isn't like super like mega fluent in English. Like it doesn't necessarily matter, but I know in the WWE there is a level of that where like to promote you, they obviously like you being able to communicate with the crowd. So like I guess I'm intrigued by Stephanie because the other thing to this is she's still so new to the company in general. Like they like really, when they signed her, they must have really been like, we got somebody here. Like, so I'm just interested to see how it goes, I guess. Because she was also obviously like AEW wanted her. Like she was like doing her tryouts basically in AEW. That's why another level of this that's intriguing to me is like what AEW had, the WWE is benefiting from actually signing, and stuff like that. So just a special case, I guess.
And let's move on to our other spotlight.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
TNA Slammiversary is this weekend. It's going to be a phenomenal event, Jensen.
Yeah, I heard you. You are, I am. You think we'll hear the song? I know AJ doesn't like it, which is unfortunate.
I don't know if we'll hear it. I do think we will see AJ Styles. I think that they've teased it this much that they have to deliver. And if they don't deliver, well, I'd say, that's the end of the company, but like
yeah. You cannot kill TNA wrestling. It doesn't matter how many management, ownership, station changes, anything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ Styles is, you know what? I'm glad before we get into the predictions, I know we're not gonna do this too long because I know we're about at 8:30, but I've heard people on other podcasts, other wrestlers and stuff, and this is almost impossible to do, but TNA Mount Rushmore. If you had to do an actual TNA Mount Rushmore, who would be your 4 names on that? And I'll let you count a tag team also if you want to as like one name if you want to. I'll give you that loophole.
AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff
Easy.
Jarrett.
Easy, right? It's got to be 2 of them. And I feel like Angle has to be on there, right? Angle or Sting, one or the other for sure.
Probably Angle.
I'd probably agree.
I'd probably go Motor City Machine Guns.
See, that's where it gets interesting because, like, you got guys like Abyss, who like Fake Shorts mentions that, like Abyss, obviously, you got Samoa Joe. You got James Storm, either with AMW or Beer Money, but like Beer Money, obviously individually, though, Bobby Roode had a better career than Wildcat Chris Harris. Not who's there, Braden Walker. So like my thing is like AJ's for sure on, like undoubtedly, no matter what, you got to have AJ. Jeff Jarrett, I feel like you have to also because like he founded the company. He was a big part. He was the champion over and over. He was a big part of their early success, especially. But like you also don't want it to be all a bunch of like older. AJ isn't obviously, but like then it's like Angle when Angle came because like Christian kind of is in that boat too. But like I feel like Angle had better matches and meant more to the company overall. So I'd go with that too. I'd go Angle, Jarrett, AJ, and then that 4th one is like super up for debate for me.
I mean, my personal one, I'll give you my personal one. This I'm thinking of like, okay, big picture. What are most people gonna say here? My personal one: Joe, AJ, Alex Shelley, and Monty Brown. Those are my 4.
Okay. Man, Monty Brown should have been the NWA TNA champion.
Yeah,
That was
100%.
such a miss. And he should have beat Jarrett for it. The guy who's king of the mountain. Yeah. My personal one would be, I don't even know. I mean, AJ would for sure be on there. But like AJ, I loved Angle's run there, quote unquote perk angle. Peak angle, that's what we call that. I loved Amazing Red. He just wasn't there like as long, but like Amazing Red was awesome, especially early TNA. I really liked America's Most Wanted. I really liked Abyss, even though I always called him Kane Kind back then. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of an interesting debate to have. But the reason I brought it up is because AJ Styles, like, it would be very cool to see him back in TNA, just doing anything, and I would love to hear the theme song. I expect him to show up. Speaking of, by the way, I'll be on the post show for TNA Slammiversary on the main Fightful YouTube channel right after the show. It'll be me and Joel Pearl. Cresta Star is normally with us, but she may actually be at the show live. So it may just be me and Joel. And Sean Ross Sapp usually joins us at the top, because especially if like AJ's there, he'll probably want to be there to like give some news or whatever. But
I think it's just you and Joel. I think because Cresta's going to be at the show, she's not going to be there.
So hang out with me and Joel. And then, like I said, usually Sean's there, at least at the beginning, with like some sort of backstage news or something. I'd imagine there would be some buzz in the wrestling world, especially if AJ shows up. And then hopefully the main event of this show, Mike Santana wins the TNA championship. You would imagine that that's where this is headed. This is his hometown or home crowd, whatever. I don't know exactly where in New York he's from, but I mean, this is a New York show. He's been built. I mean, y'all have had to listen to it more than I have over various, shows, I'm sure. But like, Joel Pearl's been advocating for this for, it feels like, years at this point, Mike Santana, and I think it's going to finally happen, and he totally deserves it. So that's like my big prediction, obviously, for the show is like, I think that you can have some really good buzz coming out of this show if you're TNA, if you put the World Championship on Mike Santana and you have an appearance from AJ Styles. Big win for AEW. Sorry, big win for TNA if that happens. Huge miss if AJ doesn't show up, because at this point they've teased it too much where it would be like, it's not going to kill the company, obviously, because nothing can, but like, it would be a big like F you, I feel like, to the fans if he didn't show up at this point. It's just been teased too heavily.
I think if they have AJ, they should announce AJ.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you can deliver on it, great. But I think it actually goes a little bit further if you just go ahead and announce it and you're not even like trying to hook people on, is he going to, because if he shows up, he's not going to wrestle. He's not like returning to TNA full time or anything. Oh, it's not like this is it's a surprise, certainly, but it's not a surprise of the level of, CM Punk in AEW was, okay, that was a rumor, but a very heavily teased and you knew kind of rumor, and you were going to deliver on it. Hey, CM Punk is back in wrestling full time.
And they booked the show in Chicago. It was very clearly his return, right?
Yeah. They're heavily teasing this, but if he shows up, he's just going to show up regardless. So if you have it, you may as well just announce it and just be like, hey, good faith here, watch the show, AJ's going to be there. We're guaranteeing you AJ Styles, to the point that we are announcing AJ Styles. No tease, no anything like that. You're getting AJ Styles on this show. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, maybe they don't announce it. Maybe it is a surprise, a heavily teased surprise, which will still be good as long as they actually have it. Now, if they don't, then, well, LOL TNA, I guess.
They'll do that thing again. Like, wasn't it like a couple years ago they had like Hornswoggle come out dressed like AJ to the old theme song? Yeah. Do something like that to the fans.
The Good Brothers are going to come out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The other like big match that I'm interested, I think the card from top to bottom is actually a really good card. TNA generally has really good pay-per-views, in my opinion, as far as like their four, like whatever you call that. They're 4 pay-per-views a year that are outside of TNA Plus. But the title versus title match, the Knockouts title versus NXT Women's Championship, I feel like everybody is expecting JC Jane to win because she's the NXT wrestler, obviously. Mm-hmm. And like, especially if Mike Santana beats Trick Williams for the TNA Championship, the WWE, how they do business, they probably don't want to be on like the losing end of like all the interpromotional stuff. But I will say this: I really, really, really hope Masha Slamovich wins. I think that she probably won't because of what I just said, but keep in mind this is a TNA pay-per-view, not a WWE pay-per-view. Obviously, they have the working relationship, and obviously NXT doesn't look bad, and JC Jane doesn't really look bad if they lose to Masha Slamovich, who's been the longtime Knockouts champion, beats men and women. For Masha's sake, as a Masha Slamovich fan, I really hope she wins because that gets her way more exposure in NXT. Masha, so I don't know. Do you think that JC Jane's probably going to win though because NXT has to get some wins on this thing? Yeah,
I think JC Jane's going to win, or they're going to do a non-finish. I could see Jordan coming out and they just end up with a non-finish on this. That's
probably the most likely option, actually, unfortunately.
There is a theoretical that Masha wins and they have the live show on Thursday, and so Masha can drop the title on the live show to whoever in NXT, and it's a very short run for Masha. But you set up the match on Thursday's live show, you set that up on Tuesday's NXT. Let's say it's against Jordan. Let's say it's against Blake Monroe. You set up the match on Tuesday's NXT for the NXT title, and then Masha loses the title to Blake on Thursday's Impact. Like, that's a possibility. I just don't see it.
What I would really like to see, and if they could just long-term play this out, this is just me personally, like to see this. Don't know if this is where they'll go, but I would love to see Masha actually win this match and eventually for them to do Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich for the NXT Women's Championship, like on NXT, like give that fan base, like the WWE fan base, that match with high stakes, because they've obviously done it, many times in TNA and always completely blow the roof off. Like, do that match with high stakes in NXT. And that would also be another big way to, like, if you're going to put the NXT women's title on Jordan Grace, like, that would be a cool way of doing it with the history she has with Masha. But once again, this is a great situation to be in for NXT and for TNA, because all these women we're talking about are, like, super talented. You can plug and play, like, all these various matchups, and they're all good. So, yeah. But I would like to, as a fan of Masha, I think it'd be very cool for her to win. But as far as like a prediction, I'm with you. It would be really lame to do like a non-finish for something like this, but yeah. I can't imagine JC Jane is going to lose if also Trick Williams is going to lose. So
they like doing lame things, so a non-finish would.
True. Speaking of non-lame things, I hope the Hardys win the tag team titles again in the ladder match, just because, I mean, it's the Hardy Boys in the ladder match. I am not a fan of the Nemesis, the tag team. It just is what it is. Like, I'm just not going to be. So throw that out there too. Might as well put the titles back on the Hardys, but I don't know. I think they'll probably keep them on the Nemesis, but I'd like to see the Hardys win that one.
I think the Hardys are going to win. I think they're going to go back on the Hardys, and they like the Hardys for good reason. I could see First Class. Trey Miguel's supposed to be getting surgery after this, so I don't really see him winning unless Myron Reed steps in and defends the titles. But I don't really see the Rascals winning. First Class is a possibility. They like Casey Navarro. AJ Francis does good work. Them winning would be something different. But my official prediction, I guess, is the Hardys.
Yeah, I'm taking the Hardys also. Moose and Leon Slater, I'm interested in. I think it'll be a really good match. Two very different styles, obviously, but Moose has done well with the X Division Championship, and Leon Slater is a wrestling prodigy. My gut is telling me Moose is going to retain here, but like Leon's going to get really, really close. But you think Leon's going to be the one to like finally topple the monster here?
Yeah,
not a bad idea though.
Setting it up for Leon.
Yeah, and I got no problem with that either. Leon Slater definitely personifies much more of like what you would think the X Division champion is than Moose. But to Moose's credit, he's done way better with the belt than I expected. Like when they put the belt on him, it just seemed kind of random at the time. But oh, sorry, give me just a second. I got someone at my door I have to let in.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, the rest of TNA Slammiversary, I assume Tess is gonna beat Indy. Ali beats Cedric Alexander. I think the Inspiration get the knockouts, tag team titles, and that's the card thus far. I'm sure they will announce 300 new matches on Impact tonight. I just quickly picked the winners for the rest of the matches.
Oh, did you? I'll do mine real quick. I haven't even heard yours yet. So, all the way down the list, got Santana. I'm going to stick with Moose. I'm take the Hardys. Got to take Tessa. I'm taking Mustafa over Cedric. But I'm looking forward to that. I remember those matches from like 205 Live. So I think that'll be a really good one. But I got to go with Mustafa. I'm going to stick with Masha, even though I know it's not a good choice. The last time I went against Masha was the KJ Orso pick that was totally wrong. It's the only time I've gone against her in years outside of the J Cup recently because I didn't think she'd win the whole J Cup again. And then the women's knockouts titles, those can go either way for me, but since the Inspiration is coming back in and they pass those titles around constantly, team to team to team, I guess I'll go with my gut feeling is the Inspiration wins those. How did I do versus your predictions? Pretty close.
We're on the same page with everything. Did you pick Tessa or Indy?
I took Tessa.
Okay, yeah. Then we had all the same predictions then.
Yeah. You can have whatever. I mean, we don't have to get into all the Tessa stuff, but she's there. She's there. They're gonna continue to push her. So, yeah. Outside of that, I'm looking forward to the show. Please join me and Joel afterwards if you're watching this. Join us over on the main Fightful YouTube channel right after TNA Slammiversary. Looking forward to talking about the show.
My other spotlight was Bandido and Takeshita from this past weekend, ROH Supercard of Honor, the ROH Championship. I thought it was the second best match of the weekend. It was only behind Hangman and Moxley for me. I talked about it a lot on Monday. I'm not going to go fully into it here. I wasn't surprised Bandido won since Takeshita is off to the G1, so it would have made a whole lot of sense for Takeshita to have the title. And then, I mean, not that the ROH title is defended on ROH TV anyway, so it wouldn't have been that huge of a difference. But not having it on AEW television, which Bandido was obviously still on AEW this past week, I thought this was just an excellent match. And, you know, bloody Bandido and everything. Takeshita continues to be one of the three best wrestlers in the world. And, yeah, I thought it was the second best match of the weekend. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, the match was awesome. I'm with you. Probably the second best. It's either that or the tag match, but two different types of matches for sure. I forgot about Takeshita doing the G1 because like I remember I had him as like my dark horse to win the men's gauntlet. Yeah. And the reason that I go with him is for what you just said. Like you said you think he's one of the top 3 in-ring wrestlers in the world right now. You called him.
Yeah,
that's pretty high praise. I do not disagree though. He's incredibly reliable, has great matches with everybody, and still hasn't even hit his prime. Like he's only going to keep getting better. I also, luckily, my buddy got me one of his signed action figures at All In, so I will have a Takeshita figure here soon signed by him, which I'm very, very happy to add that to my collection. I think there's still unlimited potential and upside in Takeshita, and he should be a long-time main event level star for AEW. Bandido, it's been good to see him get back in his groove. He's having a lot of good matches lately, and I was a little worried for him for a minute. Like he was out with injury, he came back. That weird thing happened where he did like that drop kick off the top and like hurt himself again right away and like kicked Big Bill in the nuts, and like it was like a weird return where he got like immediately re-injured, and I was like, I was getting a little worried about Bandido, what his future was going to look like. Since coming back from that, he's looked fantastic in everything I've seen him in. This is maybe the best Bandido match I've ever seen, honestly. Like, he has a lot of good matches, but him and Takeshita, some of those sequences that they do. And also, I know these guys are professionals and everything, but it's still wild to me, like, with like any kind of language barrier or being from different, like, you have Bandido, who has a completely different upbringing, from a completely different style of wrestling, completely different part of the world, speaks completely different first language than Takeshita, and they're able to like come together, and whether it's pre-planned stuff or stuff they're calling on the fly, and a mixture of both. Like, the fact they're even able to have a match, like, I think we take for granted that kind of stuff as wrestling fans, like how that's even possible, how guys can be that good with even barriers like that to be able to do so. It's just mind blowing to me. And they are truly the best in-ring wrestlers in the world right now. So huge shout out to both of them. Thought the match was awesome. And another example of, like, even if Ring of Honor isn't lighting the world on fire, and like there's, the weekly show, you don't hear a whole lot of buzz about Ring of Honor on a consistent basis, but like their pay-per-views, like what we saw over this weekend, I think they're worth every penny, like, because you're going to get matches like what we're talking about. So they tore it down. It was awesome.
All right, let's move to the indie spotlight.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
Start with my indie spotlight, which was Sam Stackhouse and KJ Orso, which the former Fuego del Sol. They battled at the GCW event in Texas. GCW Boss of All Bosses and an I Quit match. KJ Orso got the victory, and on a weekend where there was a whole lot of wrestling, this match somehow managed to stand out. One of the best GCW matches I've seen. It's tough to rate it with everything else that was going on over the whole weekend. I don't want to say it was like top 5. I'd put it bottom portion of top 10, but still high praise given all the great matches that there were this weekend. I think if you have not seen KJ Orso and Sam Stackhouse, that had a great storyline leading up to it, with everything that happened with Fuego losing his mask against Atticus Kogar at Spring Break, and then turning on Stackhouse. Really well built storyline and a fitting blow off between these two. What'd you think of it, Jensen?
Yeah, I totally agree. It was almost I almost chose it as my indie spotlight. Actually, I was glad that you threw this out there for our topics today, because I totally agree. I thought it was a great match. You've been telling a great story. You summarized it pretty well there with like the history between one another. And people also have to keep in mind, these guys train together. They're like real life, actual longtime best friends, former tag team partners. And when Fuego lost his mask, I thought it was going to be more of they were going to put more of like a push on him as a top baby face. Like, it was going to be used as a device to make him one of the top good guys, and eventually maybe have him win the GCW championship as a baby face for the sympathy of losing the mask. But they totally 180 that, and like within like a couple weeks of him losing that mask, he had turned on Stackhouse. And this match that we're talking about was brutal, bloody, violent. I mean, a lot of similarities in certain ways to like the kind of violence you would have seen in the Hangman and Mox match. They use a variety of weapons. I can't do that justice by explaining it either, but probably the most disgusting part of the match was towards the end. Fuego had handcuffed Stackhouse to the ropes, and he took a gusset plate and stuck it in Stackhouse's chest. And this was an I Quit match, by the way, and Stackhouse wouldn't quit. So then KJ took the gusset out of Stackhouse's chest, put it in Stackhouse's forehead, and then hit him with probably 10 legit punches to the head, like into the gusset, into the head. And he was leaking. I mean, just disgusting amount of blood. Still wouldn't quit. Eventually, Stackhouse winds up quitting because he saves his wife, who gets involved, and KJ is threatening to hit her with the chair. So he quits to save his wife, and then KJ still hits him with a curb stomp, or hits her with a curb stomp rather afterwards.
It was a bag of tacks that he.
Yeah. So there's all the like loose broken glass, and I mean everything's all over the ring. I mean it's
right. It wasn't a clean ring by that point.
Right.
So.
Of course, yes. So but obviously this isn't the end of it. But I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, and I mean eventually Stackhouse has got to get a big win back from KJ after all of this. So if GCW plays their cards right, they have another top heel going forward in KJ, who's already pretty much there. He's already there as a heel. He's already hated, has great matches. Stackhouse, they can really build as more of a sympathetic babyface, has to overcome the odds and so on and so forth. And Stackhouse brings something totally different at the table too, with like his look and his athleticism and stuff like that. If they play their cards right, they can have two top guys coming out of this feud, which I think is probably the goal. This match was brutal. So if you're into deathmatch wrestling, I would highly recommend it. If you're not, just viewer discretion advised. It's a violent, bloody one.
And you mentioned a couple of spots, but the destroyer off the top through the doors as well. The fact that like Stackhouse could pull that off, and I mean I know he kind of like does a moonsault, but that was an insane spot.
The stuff you can do, it really. I mean, when we interviewed him, he was like, I don't want to be viewed as just like a big guy who can do this, but it's like, no, it actually it can't not be mentioned because like he is humongous and he's doing moonsaults and taking destroyers off the ropes and stuff. I mean, it's a spectacle seeing it happen. Yeah. Right. So. Yeah, I love Stackhouse. He's a super nice guy.
Yes.
And I've never spoken to KJ Orso, but I would absolutely love to. So
he's also very nice. We had him on in the weeds when he was still Fuego del Sol. I don't know how he is now. He seems like a jerk now. So
Yeah.
All right. Your indie spotlight for the week is the SCI Tournament preview. Did they get brackets between last night and tonight?
I don't think so. Year by year, it kind of changes how they do this. Like I remember years back, they wouldn't announce anything until like the night it was happening, and then you wouldn't know the brackets for the next day until the second day and stuff like that. So I don't know the exact format. I do think they've announced all the participants.
It looks like they have the first round matches announced.
Oh, do they? Is it on their Twitter?
Yeah.
Let me get it pulled up. How far down their Twitter is it? I'm trying not to like lag my internet here too bad.
If you click on here, I'll just send it to you.
Thanks.
I put it in. Oh, yeah, private chat. It's in the private chat.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Get this opened here. Okay. So. Okay, perfect. So you want to do just real quick, just run. I won't preview each person in each match, but just, winners for the first round and then who you think is going to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. Cody Manhorn, Colby Carino. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Colby Carino.
I'm going to go with Colby Carino as well. Vinny Massaro and Channing Thomas. I'm going to go Channing actually in that one.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Channing as well.
We got Mortar versus Mad Dog Connolly.
Got to go Mad Dog.
Got to go Mad Dog there too. Was Mortar who he wrestled at Action Dean the first year in that dog collar match? I think I can't remember. I think it was. Then the next one I got here, Gary J and Jameson Shook. I like that one a lot too. Oh man, a lot of these are so tough. I've been watching these guys for so long. I'm gonna go. Jameson's on a real run in the Southeast, especially. I'm gonna go with Jameson.
Yeah, same.
Hunter Drake and Bojack. Who you got?
I'm going Bojack.
It's a big stylistic size difference in this one. I'm going to go Hunter Drake with some sort of like fuckery to get the win.
Okay.
Casey Owens versus Danny Briggs. Danny Briggs is the former Martin Stone. What was he called in WWE? Danny Burch.
Danny Burch. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll go with Danny Briggs then.
I'm gonna go Casey Owens actually in that.
He looks
one.
so different. Before you said that, I was like, who? Danny Briggs?
I'm gonna go Casey Owens. By the way, Casey Owens very, very slept on.
Danny Briggs is apparently getting replaced by a competitor.
Okay. Is that who Brett Eisen replaced? That must be because they announced Brett Eisen.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So Brett Eisen and Casey Owens. Brett Eisen means a lot to the scene, but he's also the type of the guy that you can tell they have a lot of plans for Casey Owens in the Southeast. I just don't see him losing in the first round. Brett Eisen could definitely do it, but I'm actually going to stick with Casey Owens. You got Casey or Brett?
I'm going to go Brett Eisen. I think he'll at least go the second round.
We got Diego Hill and Teriyaki. He got.
Diego Hill just signed with MLW.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good for him.
We had him on In the Weeds last week. Very nice guy. I'm gonna go Diego Hill.
I'm gonna go Teriyaki. It's a good matchup. And then we've got I don't think the title's on the line, but it's Tim Bosby, who's the Action Wrestling World Champion, versus Cruel. I mean, I gotta go Bosby. That's wild that's a first round matchup though. That's like a main event, like finals matchup right there. But I'm gonna go Bosby with the help of Dylan Hales.
Yeah, I think Bosby. I don't think he's losing in the first round. It's tough to see Cruel losing in the first round, but I feel like it's more likely than Bosby losing in the first round. Yes. It feels like he gets to at least the finals.
Yeah. Well, that said, looking at the full field, who do you think wins the entire tournament? Because beyond that, we can't really know who's going to be wrestling who.
I always like picking Mad Dog Conley for these things because I think he's great. I just don't know if he's going to win it. But, you know, when I first saw the field, that was my gut instinct was Mad Dog Conley. So that's where I'm going to go.
I'm going to say Tim Bosby wins the whole thing. Okay. But
I think Bosby gets to the finals.
Yeah. There's the ongoing story between like Action Wrestling and New South though, like the promotional feud. So like I could totally see some New South talent like getting involved in maybe like costing Bosby or some of these other Action Wrestling guys. So like there's also that big possibility also. So, and Bosby won the Future Showcase, I think last year. So it'd be kind of cool to see back-to-back years someone who wins the Action Wrestling, it's Action Wrestling SCI Future Showcase goes hand in hand with this tournament. Some like the lesser known names and up and comers do that tournament. And Bosby won that like last year or the year before. I think it was last year. So anyways, I'm going to stick with Tim Bosby, but you know, I think it'd be really cool to see Mad Dog Connolly win as well. I think that'd be a good pick. I think they're doing Mad Dog Connolly and Big Dave in New South, I think, for the title soon. Big Dave has the New South title, by the way. He won it not too long ago.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's doing really well. But outside pick, I'm really high on Casey Owens right now. And I know that these companies are too, because of he has really good matches. He's been involved in a lot of the major stories, and he keeps getting better. People seem to really like him. So keep your eye on him. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Bosby. I'm looking forward to the tournament, and whoever wins the tournament, you know, I'll do my best to try to get them on here in the near future so we can talk to whoever winds up winning.
All right. There you go. Anything else, Jensen?
No, I know we've already gone like a half hour longer than we normally do, but yeah, that's everything I've got. Thank you again to QT Marshall for joining the show today. Appreciate it a ton. And anyone who wants to follow me on X at Fight Talk _ use code Fight Talk and independentwrestling.tv, and listen to the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. That is every Sunday or Monday, depending on the indie wrestling schedule of the weekend. It'll probably be what's this weekend? Slammiversary is on Sunday. It'll most likely be on Monday because I'll be busy doing Slammiversary and the review and everything. So look out for the Weekender probably Monday night around the time that Raw airs is when I'll probably be able to record and upload that for you on FightfulSelect.com. So outside of that, appreciate seeing everyone in the chat. Once again, appreciate QT Marshall. Appreciate you, Jeremy. That's everything I got. What you got going on?
Appreciate you as always, Jensen. Yes, thank you again to QT Marshall for joining us. It was a really great interview with him. Really appreciate him literally stepping outside as ROH and AEW is going on. So big thanks to him for joining us. Usual for me, I'll be on In the Weeds tomorrow, 10 a.m. Myself and Joel will be talking, I'm sure maybe some AEW spoilers, Impact, TNA Slammiversary, the latest news in wrestling, all that fun stuff. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, myself and Joel, myself and SP3. This will go up on the website Saturday. We did a watch along, Worst of the Weeds. We watched the blindfold match between James Storm and Chris Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched Jenna Maraska against Charmel, everyone. So those are the two matches we watched for Worst of the Weeds this week. Two classics.
Those are, I completely forgot about Jenna. Like,
Jenna and Charmel
about
is
her, like, existing.
Oof.
It's
a classic.
Wow. Yeah, and that blindfold match
wasn't good.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, that's right up your alley. Perfect.
Oh, that's the whole point of Worst of the Week.
Right. That's why you do it.
The worst matches. Yeah. So SP3 and I watched that earlier this evening. That'll go up on Saturday, so everybody can look forward to that. Actually, it might go up tomorrow because there's no coexisting tomorrow. They're taking the day off. They might do a show later on, but no coexisting.
Is Maggie okay?
I think so. I do not know.
I'm just being over dramatic.
No, I should check in on that. All right. But until then, and I'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Talk to y'all then. Bye, everybody.